Basically, let's get to the end of this. Amon defeats himself. That's how I saw it. I didn't think Korra played a part in his defeat. Because literally, if he just thought about it for 2 seconds, he wouldn't have made a tornado. He would have just swum to the surface and said that the Avatar kicked me out the window.
Tomatoes, tomatoes, man. It is what it is. What can I say?
Welcome to yet another episode of the Nerdgasm podcast.
And I've made a comment on TikTok. We are sober, but I'm telling you, man.
So you can find me on Mr Geek Media. Hashtag Recast the Khala campaign.
Except Jack had to find someone from Africa. He's so flame.
Okay, I'm tebellokhala. Welcome to Nerdgasm. Hey, what's up, you guys? Welcome to another episode of the Nerdgasm podcast. Our stuff is working properly today. I remembered all my lines. Maybe because I was on holiday. You know, holidays can do a lot of source perspective.
Good to see you guys all on screen again with the four compadres. We're back all on screen.
The awesome foursome. That's what I'm gonna call us.
Awesome foursome.
Yes, this is a new year. I'm thinking about adding new things in the show. I had suggested we had little segments. There are a few segments that I came up with that I wanted to write down, but crisis and time thing.
Just a heads up to the people. Sorry, I have a bit of a flu cold thing going on, so if I'm coughing, apologies. I'll try to keep it minimized throughout the.
It's not COVID.
It's not.
As you know.
No,
guys.
It's a regular cold. I can taste everything fine.
Yes, you heard him.
That's what she said.
Oh my gosh.
Oh. Okay.
Looks like I'm the pure one this year. Last year, I was accused of being the most perverted one.
You named this thing. Stop it. Stop it. The Nerdgasm is a what? It's a what? I believe it's a khalacorp production.
Okay. Anyway, before I continue, let me introduce our wonderful host. This time I'm gonna start with the one next to me right here. Pila, take it away. How's it?
Hi everyone. I'm Pila. I'm a resident here at Nerdgasm. I'm a person. I love nerdy things. I am an anime geek and a film geek. Not a gamer, but I enjoy watching me a fair share of fantasy and sci-fi.
Awesome. Mr. BuckMeister, take it away.
What is up, everybody? It's your boy BuckMeister. Twice the night that you were cool. Twice the night that you were used to Shablamson. You can see this show is already tongue twisting me. So if you want to check me out, you can check me out on Mr Geek Media and BuckMeister Cool Reacts. Recast T'Challa campaign across all my social medias. Please like, share, and subscribe on all the videos, including this one. And we're about to talk about some Korra. Right?
Mm-hmm. Mr. Extrodin, take the floor.
What is up, everybody? This is Mr. Extrodin. Do check me out on Mr. Extrodin Universe and Mr. Extrodin Thinks for all things geek-related, film-related, hip-hop related, and creative arts related. You can also check me out on TikTok. You can check me out on Facebook and Instagram. That is me.
All right, and today, like our dear host said, we are going to talk about Korra. Ideally, we are supposed to just have started with Aang, but a certain individual who shall not be named, who is
I
in the
name
class.
myself. Guys, we need to talk about this show. I know we're going to talk Aang. I know we're supposed to talk Aang. But are you going to tell me we're going to go week to week talking about Korra?
Hell no! I mean, it's a new year. I'm going to be more democratic with my decision making. So I'll leave it to my co-hosts. What do you guys think? Would you like to do this
No,
show?
if it was just
The Korra show week by week?
We
if it
are
was just
split
me,
down the
and-
middle. We are
if
split
it was
down the
just me and
middle,
Killer, we
listeners.
would have done that. But because we have Korra haters in here,
Yeah.
No, I'm saying this is crazy to me. We are split down the middle. I just
that's
wow.
good though. That's
Yeah, okay.
What even good? I want to go on air and say one thing to show my level of disdain. I'm not so much, to call myself a Korra hater is an extreme because I don't think I've given Korra the time of day to even consider myself a hater. I saw the show, I saw the intro. They say there's a new avatar, and this time she's a girl, and it's like, okay, cool for you. What happened to Aang is gonna happen after Aang dies. I was like, Aang's dead? Oh yeah, but that would mean, oh dear, my favorite characters are not gonna be in it. Then I thought, okay, then it's not for me. That's as far as I went.
That's it.
That's it. I cannot lie to you. I can't say I've sat down and watched an entire episode of Korra.
what?
Okay, I can. I watched it from start to finish.
Dude, the
I
way
gave-
over the years you've been talking about Korra, it just seemed like you watched the whole thing, you dissected the thing, and you were not impressed.
ADHD can summarize things very quickly. The things I watched different shows, I watched clips.
Okay, so before I start off, right?
Yeah.
I didn't mean to cut you off, Tebello. I'm so sorry.
Okay,
But
yeah,
before I start off, I want to say that I'm gonna be doing a video this year, probably maybe around February, talking about why Korra should get a live action adaptation. I don't think Avatar: The Last Airbender needs one. They're gonna do it anyway because it's popular. But I think Korra desperately needs a live action adaptation. Now, the reason why I'm saying this is because they can use that to get the time they needed to fix everything that's wrong with the show.
Okay.
It's the
Wow.
one.
I disagree with that statement, but
I love how this quote went silent. It was like,
Okay, you disagree because you think the show has no problems.
no. I mean, I think a live action adaptation very rarely fixes or addresses the problems of an original source material work.
No, but
Also,
I'm
there's
saying,
going to be
like,
shorter
if
runtime.
I'm being fair to the show, they didn't have the time, and they
I
were
think-
dealing in 20 minutes.
I
They
think
were
the
dealing in
first
20
three
minutes.
seasons. I think the first 3 seasons are really, really good. I think the last
Season 2?
No, I'd
Yeah,
say
I think
one. I'd say season 1, 3, 4, then 2.
Season 2.
Look, I think 1 and 3
Okay, wait.
are like amazing. I'm
okay.
comparing this to like other shows in the world, not to Lost Airbender. because
Okay, okay.
that's a masterpiece. Like it's
Okay.
very
Alright,
rare. It's
hold on.
very rare for
Let-
something to be a masterpiece all the time.
I'm going to give you my two minute summary, or rather 2 minute explanations. I can be corrected if I'm wrong, because if you're gonna give me seasons, I need to put some context into it, right? So, season 1 is the masked guy who can stop you from begging,
Amon?
right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Amon.
The idiot, Amon.
That's Amon.
Yes.
There's 2 villains.
And then season 2 is Red Eyes.
That is
Also two
Unbatu
villains.
and what's
Yeah,
his
that's
face?
why he becomes the red-eyed. The
Which,
red-eyed.
yo,
Yeah,
I'll
probably,
tell you
yeah.
right now, I think season 2 led to most of my issues with the show. Season 3 and season 4 still have problems. But season 2 really cemented the things that I did not like about this show. Now,
And then season 3, I believe, is Guru Lahima, right?
oh Lord Zahir.
Not
Yeah.
Guru Lahima, but the guy who
Season
calls
3 is the best.
Zahir.
Hey,
And then season
Monk
4,
Superman. Yes, sir.
and then season 4 is Angry Lesbian.
Koivira.
She's not lesbian.
He's not lesbian, but yeah, I get what you're saying. Kuvira.
She's very, very dominatrix for no
Great
reason.
villain, by the way.
No offense to the LGBT.
Is
'cause
he?
shame. I'm a member of the LGBT, but I'm the G, which means if I offend the L group, I'll be kicked out of the council. So let me not offend the L group. I'm a member. I'm the
Well,
member.
I think you're already offending the LGBTQ by not being a Korra fan, because she's
Excuse me. That's the biggest reason I hate Korra. What kind of representation is that at the very last second of the very last episode?
Okay, let's get.
I have
Yeah,
a two-part
That
question.
didn't make sense to me.
For this discussion to be a little bit coherent, shall we do a breakdown of each book?
Yeah.
1, 2, 3, and 4.
Yeah, I think so.
Like general
I
thoughts.
can do that.
Not necessarily a
Yeah, I
summary,
can
but
do
just
that.
our thoughts. And then
Yeah,
I
I can do that.
guess, shall we rank them at the end?
Yeah, I
Yeah.
guess. Okay.
Yeah.
You're not gonna
All
rank
right.
by ranking, but
I
go
just
on.
know season 2 is at the bottom for me. That's where that is. That's where that
I
lies.
think that's a unanimous.
I don't know. Pila says otherwise, so we'll see. But anyway,
Oh, you'll see.
yeah. All right. So let me just start this off by saying, right, season 1, a big issue with it is that they are too ambitious. It's too much. We doing love triangles, another sport, and a villain, and Korra has to do airbending. How are we going to have any time to develop any of this?
It's the
Well,
shortest
think about
arc.
it. I would say
Are we
that
also gonna ignore the elephant in the room?
I'm saying none of it gets developed because
Okay,
if it's
well,
talking
no.
about Amon, right?
No,
Amon,
no.
like,
My bigger before we continue with this wonderful story, and yes, you do have very valid points. My biggest issue with Korra as a character is what? She's like the avatar that was given everything on a plate. From
no,
the
I don't.
get-go, she could bend fire, water, and earth.
Tebello, don't make me defend this, please. Okay, I'm gonna say I understand why. I
Why?
get it.
Okay, explain why, please.
The only thing I
need
hate
to
is
teach-
the intro. I hate the intro where she's a little girl and she's bending those 3 elements. I don't like that because I'm like that was unnecessary. If they had just started where she was training, then I can put 2 and 2 together because why did they have both of those scenes back to back? To me it's confusing because if she can bend as a child, who was teaching her? Because being the avatar doesn't just mean you start bending elements. That's not how that works. Like she's
Why?
like when she's an adult and she's 17 and she's bending, I get it. Totally that makes sense. When she's a baby, why? But anyway, and also you have to deal with it. What did I do to you? Why are you mad at me? I'm just watching the show. Why? Okay. Anyway, so we get to Korra and she wants to leave the compound. That I don't have so much of a problem with. And also, I think her teachers suck. Like something that this show for me feels like it feels very anti-Avatar because the teachers in Avatar, you love most of them. Even the one that was giving Katara nonsense, you end up liking him as a character. Like the reason he changes
he
is
learns-
completely superficial, but you end up liking him as a character.
Because he learns his lessons. Sure, it's super summarized, but he does learn his lessons.
But like these teachers here, not only do we not know them at all outside of Katara, and that's only because of Avatar: The Last Airbender. All of them kind of suck at teaching Korra because they don't do the things to take Korra on the journey to actually learn spirituality. They just train her in bending.
True.
not
Which-
really true. Because Tenzin really tried. It's just that he couldn't tap into it.
First
but
off-
Because he was the last
First
one to
off-
teach them.
First off, yeah, he's the last one to get there. Second of all, that Tenzin issue. Well, I'll get back to it.
I didn't think
Yeah.
you were including Tenzin in your critique of the Masters.
I was not
you're
including
talking
Tenzin.
about the masters that trained her when she was still
Yes.
growing up.
Yes, when she was still growing up,
Oh.
because they
Oh,
should have taken her around the world. They should just
which
have.
is the job. Yeah.
Like, that's because the thing is, as an avatar, you need to learn the world you're supposed to be balancing. That's your
Those
job.
like White Lotus members that were teaching
No,
you?
I'm saying,
was,
yeah,
yes.
but the White Lotus, Iroh would have taken Korra around the world. I don't know what these new White Lotus guys are doing.
The White Lotus were quote unquote afraid of the Red Lotus because the Red Lotus was already doing something.
Which is, I feel like it's a retcon because, like, again, they were writing
in the
season to
beginning,
season.
that was not a thing. I think I agree with BuckMeister.
So anyway, look,
We're
then
gonna
we
go
get
through a lot of retcons, honey. But
then
mind
we
me.
get to Korra's wanting to learn how to bend. Fantastic. First off, her introduction to the city, kind of rough, but I didn't mind it because okay, fine. She's a village girl. She does a lot of destruction. Okay, cool, I get it.
And they
she's fighting
replaced
some other
Appa with
people.
that dog. Anyway, no.
I like what's the dog's name? I thought that wasn't a bad design. Whatever.
it's
You're
not a
making
bad
me defend this show, Tebello. Anyway.
Yeah, sure.
It's not bad.
Anyway, yeah, it's a. So I'm saying she causes all that destruction. Then we get what's the Beifong woman, Toph's daughter, which that's another fun thing that I want to get into later.
Isn't it Lin? Lin?
Yeah, Lin Beifong. Yeah, then we get Lin Beifong. she has a big beef with the Avatar for some reason that's tied to Tenzin, which is like, but why would you? Okay, I thought you're an adult. I thought, why would you have beef with the Avatar? I don't understand why your beef is with the Avatar, because she was treating the Avatar like it was Tenzin's fault or something, and I was like, but okay, fine.
Didn't she have a thing for Tenzin or something like that?
No, they were dating, and then other lady asked Tenzin out, and Tenzin said yes. So,
No.
and I don't know if Tenzin was like, I need to make sure I get air babies, not earthbender babies. I don't know.
I'm sure
That was
people
an indication, I guess.
I thought it was because Aang asked that, I need you to breed.
Which is another thing that I'm gonna get to, because but anyway, right? So we get to that, boom, boom, boom. They make up. Not they make up. Tenzin bails her out, and then Tenzin is supposed to teach her airbending, but he has to go somewhere or whatever. And then I'm like, Korra, go with him. Tenzin's like, nah. Why? This is the Avatar. You're her master, and she needs the airbending element. In fact, if she had the airbending element throughout the season, she would have done way better than she did. I need this
because
thing.
we don't know how Aang died. If we knew how Aang died, maybe this would make sense. Why?
He died of old age.
No, he died. No, old age, 62.
No,
That's another thing that makes me so mad. He died at 62. Why? Why did they kill him so young?
That was not 62, dog. Do you see how young he looked?
No, he died at 62, apparently, according to the law. It was in his 60s, and I don't know why.
Doesn't look like he's in his
He
60s.
died at 162. Don't get
Okay, fine. I'll take that. Thank
It
you.
looked like he was in his
162?
40s,
Perfect.
dog. But I hear you.
Kyoshi died when she was 200 and something. She doesn't look 200 and something when you go into her flashbacks.
Mm-hmm.
But Roku, on the other hand,
I'll take that. 162. This show already shoots up even more. 162, great. Yeah, 62, I hate it a little bit more. Anyway, so yeah, then he doesn't want to take her training. Okay, fine. Then she eventually does, and I agree with this decision personally, because I'm like, she needs to learn airbending. It's the only element she can't bend, and it's one of the most versatile elements that an avatar needs.
Can I ask a question? Sorry,
Yeah.
I don't mean to cut you off, but
Go ahead.
It might help me frame a bit more my understanding of your experience in the show.
Mm-hmm.
When they announced the sequel, did you expect it to be a new Avatar, or were you expecting a continuation of Aang's story?
No, I was expecting a new Avatar because I had always known about Korra. I had avoided it for years because it meant the end of Aang's story. I wasn't interested in that. But I said to myself, I'm being unfair to the show. I can't always expect Aang, especially with the way they've set up the show. They've set up the show that there's always an Avatar every new incarnation. And Aang had a closed-off story. If I ever want to watch Aang's story from start to finish, I can do that and enjoy myself and have a good time.
Mhm.
And that's also in the
you
comic
walked
book.
into this with good intentions.
Yes, I did not walk into this hating it.
Even though you just said you put it off because you weren't sure.
I put it off in the beginning because I was being an Aang fanboy. I put it off because I was like, if it's not Aang anymore, I don't want to watch it. But
And that's me. Thank you. Hi.
yeah, but when I picked up the show to watch it, I said it's not Aang. I'm not looking for Aang. I'm gonna just watch the show and judge it as it is, as a sequel to Avatar: The Last Airbender. Now, again, I didn't expect it to be as good. I was not expecting that. But my issue, like, okay, all right. So she goes to the city. She goes to go find Tenzin. I agree with that.
Republic City.
Fine, yeah, Republic City. I mean, the design, excuse me, the swinging 1920s or whatever.
It's
Whatever they
basically
were called.
1920s New York.
And then they have the big statue.
With a statue, equipped with statue and everything. I was like,
I
wow.
was like, all
I
right.
liked it though.
Wow.
I liked the
there's
new
nothing wrong with
world.
that, guys. Come on.
I'm
I
not
enjoyed
judging. I'm not questioning the fact that there is a statue and it's 1920s New York.
And blimps.
My gripe is, Aang, the first thing they teach you in monk school is humility. What's so humble about the world's biggest statue?
No, Aang wouldn't have put that up himself.
No,
Someone
he
did
didn't.
that for him. I'm sure
Or
it was
was he
probably
dead when they
Sokka.
put that up?
Yeah, maybe. I'm sure it was probably soccer or something. But like my thing is that it felt like the Western influence was just overtaking like the Eastern influence in the show. Like Avatar, the way they designed that world, it felt very Eastern centric to all of these bending elements and everything. And if you look at the way Ba Sing Se is built, it's strong, it's brick walls. If you look at the way that the Fire Nation is built, it's a lot of pointy spears and it's very aggressive. If you look at the way the water,
I'll summarize it very quickly. So the Basing say is based on China. Japan is influenced the Fire Nation. That's why the classes look like that. The Air Nomads obviously Shaolin temples, and then the Inuit tribes from who's gone?
oh no, he's still here. I think he's on audio. I don't
Okay.
know. But anyway,
The Inuit tribes with the eagles and stuff.
Yeah.
Those are the guys who inspired the North and South poles. So thoroughly Western Pacific all the way to Asia. That's the inspiration. Enter Korra, colonizers.
If I can give a little bit of pushback,
Yeah.
Okay.
yes, I do think the new city, is giving very much New York, hence Statue of Liberty, etc.
Yes. Yeah.
But I don't know. A part of me still thought of Hong Kong. I was thinking maybe this is like their take on Hong Kong. I've never been to Hong Kong, so I don't know if there is a statue of somebody
No, there
of
isn't.
history in there. But I would assume that a lot of the inspiration is from Hong Kong because I kind of got that vibe. I mean, that's what I get. Like an independent city, it's got its own culture, it's got its own politics.
yeah, I mean,
Well,
I get that, but like
Just
the thing is
looking-
though, is that it feels like a bunch of like, for example, there was this Aang comic book. I forget what it was called. Basically, Aang and Zuko basically almost kill each other at the end of the comic book, even though they're supposed to be best friends at this point, which was wild. But basically, it was about the territories, the Fire Nation territories in the Earth Kingdom, right? And basically, what happened is that while that occupation went down, people of the Fire Nation ended up falling in love with people of the Earth Nation to the point where Earth Nation people or Earth Nation children were trying to assassinate Zuko for trying to break up those territories. And if you go into it in the comic book, you literally see them blend Fire Nation with Earth Nation and all of that stuff. Like you see the aesthetics get blended together.
I just want to say
Wasn't Azula heavily involved with that
No,
whole plot?
that's another story. That's another story. This one was purely Zuko by himself. It was his first year as Fire Lord. And like, yeah, so basically they like the cultures just started blending together where the earth, like they were making like, you know, symbols and stuff like that, and they were blending the two cultures together. So
Which is
for
fair.
me, if we go to Republic City, I would like to see a little corner where it's like the Fire Nation and the Water Nation or something. I'd like to see a little corner where we got some Earth Nation and Air Nation things going on. You know what I'm saying? Like taking those distinct visual things and putting them together.
I like,
see
you
some
know,
of that.
let
I
me
just want to say something
okay.
quickly that
Sorry.
the impression that I got when I saw this the series is, and it's something that I also mentioned in the group, is that the creators said we're gonna do everything that is not Avatar: The Last Airbender. We're gonna make sure that the main character is a hothead. We're gonna make sure that the world building is different, so that people don't like. I feel like they deliberately did this so that people don't compare it too much to The Last Airbender. If that
But they
makes sense.
can't do that.
Yeah.
It says it has the Avatar logo. Look
No,
behind you. She's
what I'm trying to say
bending
is,
water and
what I'm trying to say
fire.
you see what you were saying about the whole incarnation thing, like there's always a new avatar, whatever. It's like I'm sure even if they were to do like a Kyoshi version, it would be way more, I guess, old school than what we got in the last Avatar: The Last Airbender. There'll probably not even be ships or something. I don't know. I'm just giving you an
Not from
example.
what I've read.
I don't know. I'm just saying. What I'm trying to say
I
is.
understand what you're saying.
What I'm trying to
Tebello.
say is I think the creators deliberately,
Advanced technology. I agree with that.
not just the technology, even the characters, they deliberately made sure not to make them similar to the previous IP or whatever, so that we don't say this is an Aang clone or this is a soccer clone or whatever.
I
Okay,
get that.
that's fine. I don't.
Yeah.
That's not the issue here. The character types and the character descriptions that they have. I don't have an issue with that.
And to go cycle back to the city thing, I like to imagine on a storyline, the only thing that makes the city make sense to me in my mind is that this entire Republic City was basically Sokka's brainchild. And Sokka was all about progress.
Wait, was it not Aang and Zuko's brainchild?
No. Well, in the story, in the original story, because all of the countries were melding together or whatever, and then there was another story about how Benders felt like, ironically, Benders felt like they were getting replaced by machinery. So they basically started to,
You mean the comic?
yeah, in the comic, yeah. So they were basically staging revolutions and all of that stuff.
The series made it seem like it was Zuko and Aang's idea.
No, I
But
mean, like that's another thing that's kind of like frustrating about Korra as a show. Because why don't we know anything about Sokka? Like, why does he only get like one flashback scene where he's in a court or a council? They don't talk about, because he's the only guy who would architect something like this.
Yeah, that's why. That's all I
Like-
thought when I saw the cities. Like, wow, Sokka really went ham with his inventions here. Look at these, they're freaking cars now. Well done, boy. That's all I was thinking when I first saw.
Because he's the
The
one that
clips.
makes the airships. He's
Yeah.
like that team without Sokka, they would have been dead. Like that, Aang would have
he
been
wasn't
dead
he
without
like the de facto
Sokka.
leader eventually.
Yeah, I'm saying leader or no leader, he's literally the strategist. If they never had him, they would have been
Sokka,
caught so many times.
Sokka is a humble version of Iron Man, and I will not hear any objections against it. But this is Aang talk. Let's go back to Korra.
Okay. Anyway, getting back to but the city is the city.
Yes.
I don't have a lot of issue with it anyway. So I'm saying, all right, then we get to then she wants to listen to this bowling thing, and Tenzin doesn't want her to listen to it because he wants Bending to be this discipline. Okay, old school versus new school, fine, understand. Then
see,
we get
my
then we
friends,
get-
you see how much this has stressed my co-host out. He's even coughing. This flu is because of the stress from Korra.
Freezing cold.
The way he's been going on about when are we recording this, and I'm like, guys,
don't know, you guys. Okay, anyway, then we get to the Super Bowl bending tournament, right?
I love it, by the way.
I don't have an issue with it. I just think they spend too much time there. Like, let's get to Amon, because the whole thing of Amon, right? First off and foremost, there's that guy who's talking about Bender supremacy, Bender supremacy, Bender supremacy. I think this season fails at trying to show Bender supremacy, because the two Benders that we get introduced to, Mako and Bolin, and Mako, I need to put a pin in that. But the two guys that we get introduced to that are Benders, we see them getting screwed to the point where Bolin is begging on the street. So, Amon, what Bender supremacy are you talking about? I haven't seen it.
For me, it just kind of sounded like the X-Men. You know, the Equalists were just afraid of the power that the
No,
Benders
but I'm
had.
saying they kept talking like Benders are taking. Like, first off and foremost, it's so stupid for the council just to be made up of Benders. Doesn't make sense. Like, that council is littered with Benders. Why? Sokka was a non-bender on the council. He would definitely want to institute that you have to have a non-bender on the council.
I agree with your point there. I do think the problem.
and that's the other
throughout
thing I
the
wanted
show.
to ask. Can I ask, where's the republicness in this Republic City?
That's another one, because when we get to the end of this with Amon, you're about to see them, like, you're about to see something that's a pattern with this show just a little bit. But anyway, sorry, Pillar, you were saying.
No, go ahead. I'll make my point.
Anyway.
What do you mean, Tebello? I think I'm the only one that's lost here.
No, I'll explain what he's saying just a little bit later. I'll explain it. Okay. So, right? We get to this sports thing, and they're at the sport, and she instantly falls for Mako because he's a pretty boy. Fine, whatever. I don't get it, but okay, cool. Mako not interested in her at all. In fact, he earlier meets Asami and falls right in love with Asami. Teenagers, fine, I get it. They don't spend enough time to develop that relationship anyway, so it's just kind of like, okay, fine, but cool, fine. Mako and Asami over here. Let's get ready for some spice. So, Korra introduces herself, and now they team up for the bowling game. Personally, if I'm writing the story, Amon would have dropped in the middle of that game. I would not have wasted time to go through the whole game. I would have had him enact his plan from that moment so he can establish himself as a villain. Because part of the thing that kind of bothers me with Amon is that he's not enough in the plot for me to say that this is an Amon focused
but
plot.
we still had to get used to the other characters, bro. That would have
No,
been.
you can do that. You can still do that. But I'm saying you can have Amon drop,
And
make a
I think
statement,
that's
and
what
then
we
do the aftermath afterwards. Sorry, Tebello.
and I think that's where you see the major problem with this when it comes to the season 1, I guess, with regards to if you're to compare to the other one, which we're not supposed to apparently, that in the original storyline we already established we have a world, they lived in harmony, one thing went off, so we have an established plot. We know who the bad guy is. And now we are trying to explore this new world. Here we have this new world, but you also don't have an established plot. I think am I making sense of what I'm trying to
No,
communicate?
I get what you're saying, but for me, that's not the issue. I don't need an established plot. I mean, I've read comic books. Comic books do this all the time, where they drop villains out of the week out of nowhere. I'm fine with that premise. My issue is that I don't spend enough time with Amon to fear him, know him, or anything until we get an exposition dump. But anyway, so they go through this whole thing, and this is where
Wait, what about the Fire Lord? Did you know enough about the Fire Lord?
Yes, because they talk about him throughout the entire show. I know everything I need to know about the Fire Lord. Fire Lord, we learn from Zuko, we learn from Azula, we learn from Iroh. They tell us everything we need to know about the Fire Lord. So when I meet him, I'm like, yeah, he's exactly what they said. I'm not.
I'm not gonna lie. When I first saw the Fire Lord, I was like, "What? Is that you? You're kind of cuter than I thought."
But I'm saying we know everything we need to know about the Fire Lord.
I said it.
Which is
okay.
Yeah, which is he wants to take over the world. He wants to impose the Fire
and then
Lord's
didn't
nation.
we learn that about Amon that he just doesn't he's taking people's bending away?
No, but he's doing it on the platform that there's bender supremacy and that benders are oppressing non-benders. That's his whole platform.
But still,
Bending is evil.
that's something you know about Amon, though.
Yeah, but I'm saying you can say I know that about Amon, but if we examine why he's against bending, why?
I think the problem is, and I agree with your point, BuckMeister. I think the problem is instead of going for the grand Fire Lord type villain, they try and make the personal, let's say the Spider-Man-esque villain, where the character has like a more personal relationship, and it's also / an ideological conflict. But then the problem with the show, apart from season 3, is they lean so hard on the ideology and the ideological difference that they forget to actually make the villains people. So all you ever hear them spout about is, this is how I want to change the world. This is how I want to change the world. Looking at you, Kavira. But then when you don't really know who are you? And I feel like that was the problem apart from book 3.
No, I'm saying like Amon. I'm saying I needed to spend time with him, but instead we're watching a love triangle, which is one of the worst love triangles ever done, in my opinion. Like this was reaching. It was not as bad as Twilight.
Hold on, guys. I think we are now old enough to ask this question. Love triangles. Is it a proper definition for me? Because it sounds more like a love arrow because the two sides aren't in love with each other.
Yeah.
No, I'm saying it becomes a triangle. Like, because the thing is, right?
So
if you look, like, I'll explain it. I'll break it down just now. So,
unless if you're talking about Asami, Mako, and
I'm talking Asami, Mako, and Korra specifically.
Okay.
So what happens is, right, is that Korra is just she has the hots for Mako. Okay, he's a pretty boy, whatever. That character, like, I'm gonna tell you, as it goes on, he annoys me more and more because all he did was take up space. And I hate that he's a reference to Mako, the voice for Iroh, because I'm like, you should have done more to respect that character if that's the guy you were referencing. But anyway, fine. We get into this love triangle, right? Mako is only interested in Korra because she decides to go out with Bolin. By the way, her and Bolin have way more chemistry than she ever had with Mako. I don't even know why she didn't give Bolin a shot, honestly.
She sees. I think she sees Bolin as like a brother. He's just too. Like Bolin is too. Too much. He's too goofy.
She needed Goofy. Actually,
I'm just explaining from her perspective. Not that you're wrong. You're not wrong.
Don't you be
You're not
coming
wrong.
after my...
I'm just explaining it. Like if Korra and I were friends, I think that's what she would have told me. You know what I'm saying? Like she would have said, "This guy's
Why
too
did
good."
she say yes then? Why did she go out with him? To make
Hold on, hold
Mako
on.
jealous.
Attractive, dog.
Dude, I think them not hooking up together is the best thing that ever happened to Bolin. Do you know how much we would have hated Bolin if he had kept crying about Korra for
He
the
was
whole
gonna be a
show?
simp, dog.
What was Mako? What was Mako? Explain.
Exactly. That's why you hate Mako and you love
No,
Bolin.
I
He's
don't
not
hate
crying
Mako
about Korra.
specifically for that. I hate Mako because he doesn't go anywhere as a character. He's the same guy from season 1 to season 4. What changes about him?
Fair enough. Fair enough.
But I keep saying,
Like
I
if
keep
they put
saying
him,
one of
if
the
if they
biggest,
put
one of
him
the
and
biggest
Bolin in
problems,
one character, if they put
one of
him
the
and
biggest,
Bolin in one character,
one of the biggest problems I have about, and we mentioned this in the group. One of the biggest problems I have with male deuterogonists is that sometimes the writers don't know what to do with them because it's a guy. You know what I'm saying? Like usually when you write a story about the male protagonist, no? At least you know what to do with him because he carries the story forward or whatever. Then you have a cheech. But here, because the main character is a female, it's like, okay, we're gonna have the male love interest, but he's just gonna be a supporting guy. We don't really know much about
Screw that! They should have just read Hunger Games. Dear Lord.
no, like I'm just saying.
And
Okay,
that
gents, just keep the discussion going. I just need to get a light because my power's gonna go off real quick.
Okay.
I mean, I think like a huge among problem is like if he was let's say fan fiction era here now. Let's say Aman was one of Korra's teachers before she left Republic City, and he helped train her, and then he was like, "Oh, by the way, I also have this bender superiority thing," and then and then she had to go and leave to go learn airbending. Then you introduce him, and he's doing this whole thing. Then she kind of has this internal conflict of, do I go with my old master or do I go with Tenzin? At
Oh,
least it
okay.
kind of feels a little bit more personal. That's what if I was there, I would have been like, "Hey guys,
Wait, sorry, what are we talking about?
no, I was just while you were gone, I was just adding fan
Hypothesizing.
fiction, yeah, just to make it
Okay.
a little bit
It's
tight.
just saying if Amon had been one of Korra's teachers and then he went off course, I think
I don't
personally,
think they needed that.
I have two opinions of this, no? One, um, there was someone who actually witnessed Aang do what he did to the Fire Lord, right? Like taking his bending away.
How?
And then that trait, I don't know. I don't know. And then that thing was then taught from generation to generation, right? And then Amon learned how to do it. That's the first one, even though it was going to be a retcon. The second one is a Tenzin temple. You know, I know this one has been overused way too many times, but you have like, you know, that rebellious student
Mm.
who realizes that, okay, in as much as we are being trained by the son of the last airbender and this is supposed to be great and we're supposed to help build brands to the world, this is just not working for me. I don't think this is gonna work, so I'm gonna, you know, maybe there was an incident where Tenzin, I don't know, was too pissed off and then he overdid the airbending thing and then he hurt a student or something and then he was afraid. Amon was afraid because he saw what bending could do and then he started that whole thing. I don't know. I'm just
No, I'll say this for me.
It's giving the Last Jedi, but
No, I'll say this for me. His premise is
better
great.
explain though.
Amon's premise is great because this city was founded by benders. Like it could even have been a thing where it ties into they disregard Sokka because he was not a bender. He was the architect of this whole thing, but do they talk about him? No, because everybody loves bending. That could have been something, right? They could have that whole thing of having a council full of benders. Amon could have said, "Why do they only have benders on the
is it
council?
just me? I'm
What's
losing you
happening?"
guys.
No.
That's just you, buddy.
Oh, it's just you. Okay. Yeah, they're not liking your turtle in the background. But anyway, I'm
No.
saying like his premise is
He
fine.
who shall not be blamed is launching his attacks.
Yeah, I'm saying the premise is fine. My issue with it is that we don't spend enough time to focus on it because there's so many elements that are taking away from it. Like for me, season 1 should have been Korra learning airbending, Amon. Nothing else. Like for
The love
example,
story. So the love subplot was training you basically.
Oh, it was so frustrating because
Oh, they could have just done the love thing, but just focus on Marco and Asami and not include Korra in it.
no, but
Yeah.
then even then that would still take away from the plot. I don't need, especially with the time that they have. They have 11 episodes. You don't have time for this. Focus on Korra.
Then
Make
how do
it
you,
up. Make
how do
it
you
personal.
introduce Asami then to the story?
No, Asami, if you want to introduce her, use it through her father. Her father was the connect to thingy, to Amon. In fact, use the father's motivation. Like, if I'm writing it, the father would have been Amon. Simply because he has legitimate beef with Benders. Simple and easy. I would have had Asami, and actually I would have started setting up Asami and Korra's relationship, because I would have had Asami be a Zuko type that Korra converts or whatever. Not Zuko specifically, but basically bad guy to good guy. That's what I would have done with Korra and Asami, where Korra uses avatar ways and talking to Asami to convince her that her father is insane. That's what I would have done. Easy, simple. We've already cut the cast in half. Because another thing is this show has too many characters. There's too many. There's
So you
Tenzin,
take out the sports thing, you take out,
dog. We don't have get to the point. If you
and
have
then
11 episodes, like they said they didn't have time, that they had to write this season to season. So you need to do this bite size. If you don't have the space for it, don't fit everything.
just some trivia. The main characters of this season, apparently, is actually Korra, Tenzin, and Lin Beifong. Actually, of the whole show. Yeah.
Nani? I mean,
You can Google it if you don't believe me, bro.
Hi. So
I
what's
see
Team
what you're
Korra
saying,
for? What's
but
Team Korra for?
Tenzin does not exist in the last season.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's Korra for? Like what's Korra? What's the crew for if they're the main characters?
I don't know. Maybe it's because they have a connection with the previous cast. I have no idea.
But that doesn't make sense.
But that's what I read.
Yeah, that doesn't make it's like the guys who made this. They forgot about Aaron X has. I don't know if that's how you say his name. Like Aaron S has. He even made sure to not introduce.
Oh no.
and there it is.
So right
The
on
duck has
time.
arrived.
If you wanna know what happened to
Find out in the next episode of
Nerdgasm. Anyway. I don't know. Do you wanna say something, Pila?
Well, there is a lot of energy coming out from our
No.
co-host.
Oh, wait.
Welcome back.
Nice.
Like you thought you'll silence me?
You had your Goku
Don't
moment.
understand.
You had Goku. Hey, buddy, Goku's here.
Goku.
That doesn't count. That does not count.
Yeah, fair enough. Fair enough.
No,
Maybe
no,
Harry
You're
Potter.
saying I got.
Maybe
Yeah,
Harry Potter.
fine.
You know how Harry always dies and then he comes back. Gosh.
Harry Potter's dead.
Okay. Anyway, so back to my original point.
Yeah.
What I was saying was, right, is that with the whole season one, it's too ambitious. Like, you're setting up too many things. Like, let us get to know Korra, make the personal connection with the villain, and then introduce one or two characters so that we can get this story going. And then, when it comes to Korra, right, I understand she's a hothead. But to my knowledge, she's not a maniac until the story makes her one. Like, you get what I'm saying? Like, when they were looking for Bolin, why did she start bending that guy's stand?
Start bending what?
She was bullying that guy who was saying that Bender supremacy, and I'm like, you're helping his case.
I agree with the first half of your statement. I do think the story could have been condensed and we needed more time. I disagree with your Korra maniac. I think she is a hothead. The show like explicitly points that out again and again and again and again, to the point where it's like, okay, we get it. But I like that because then we see her grow. She's a very different character by the end of the season, and it's a very clear flaw. It's very different from Aang's flaw, true, but I like it.
No, I'm not asking her to be Aang. All I'm asking her to do is to not bend the guy's stand. I can understand her being aggressive. I can understand her putting her foot down. But like the fact that she was using bending to intimidate the guy, I'm like, you're not helping your case if you're trying to say that bending.
You think about it. For the most part of her life, she was only training. She was not necessarily taught how to be social, like how to behave as an avatar.
Because she was coddled and watched over at her own damn house. She
That's what I'm
didn't travel
saying.
the world.
That's
Yeah,
what
but I'm
getting
saying that's a
at.
failing of the teacher then, and it makes me not like the character because she's bullying this guy who's obviously against bending. Like she didn't
Because
have
of
to
the
bend his
background, it
stand.
makes sense. Her character, it makes sense for her character to behave that way. Because for the most
Okay,
part,
fine.
she's been
Let's
dealing
let's
with
get to the next
conflict
part then.
with her
Let's get
hands.
to the next part. Let's get to the
No,
next part.
before we jump on to the next season, let's give because you've
No, I'm
left
not
out.
on the next season. I'm not on the next season. I'm about to just
Yeah,
get to the next part.
you're still on
Just
season
so
1.
yes. Okay. Now
Jesus
look here.
Christ.
When
Okay.
Bolin is looking, I mean, when Mako is looking for Bolin, right? Mako is obviously sneaking. He's obviously trying to be stealthy. What does Korra do?
Didn't
He
he?
kicks down the door. Why?
Because she's an idiot. I get it. But
And
she's
also,
but they
she.
portray her.
I'm saying, like, Mako didn't say don't do anything rash, nothing.
No, but also think about it. To her, she's the avatar. She doesn't like she doesn't think that it would be a problem to defend.
She thinks she's the
Yeah.
hot shit.
They are
Yeah.
pointing out character flaws that you've already mentioned, Mr. BuckMeister.
No, look, I'm
And
saying
I know
there is a time to be hot. I'm saying there's a time to be hot shit. I get that. She at the tournament, right, when they were doing the bending thing, she learned that her being the avatar doesn't mean they automatically win the game. She had to play
But it's
by
a
the rules.
flaw. It's a character flaw. It goes against.
I get that it's a flaw, but I'm saying at the same time, the person you're supposed to be rescuing, you're putting them in danger.
and
Like
that's
Mako
part of
didn't
her
say
flaw.
nothing.
It's part of the
I'm
flaw.
saying, but Mako didn't say anything. He didn't tell her that these guys are gangsters, that they're holding my
And
brother
that's part
hostage.
and that's part of his flaw.
So everybody just dumb. Everybody.
No, but think about it. Like almost all the
Even though
things
he's
I
that
think
no, but I'm saying
what
like
almost
the
all
thing is
the
with
things that we've
Mako.
seen about teamwork, no, is
But this
that
is my thing about. Okay,
they're
sorry,
not
go ahead.
perfect. In the beginning, they're not perfect because they don't know each other's strengths properly. They sort of they're not the best team, right? So that's what happened there. Even though yes, they are pro bending, but as the Avatar team, they still need training. Sorry, I think BuckMeister's
Uh,
thing is coming to me. Sorry,
wow.
Sorry.
I think.
no, it's the show. I'm telling you. Anyway, I'm joking.
But what I'm
But
trying to
here's what
say
I'm
is,
saying. Okay,
I
fine,
think it was
fine.
like it was their first mission, not as pro benders, but as the Avatar team, even though they're not official yet. So
But I'm
obviously
saying,
they're not gonna be perfect. You know what I mean? It's like
what
who made you
of
leader?
course.
She doesn't understand stealth because she was never in a stealthy position to begin
Fine,
with. She just knows
fine.
brute
I'll give that
force.
to Korra. Fine, I'll give that to Korra. Why didn't Mako be like, what are
And
you doing?
that's the other thing I wanted to highlight about Marco. Marco's character is that he's spent way too many years having to become a little too self-reliant and not needing
Yes.
anyone else to help out. So he wouldn't think about somebody else's perspective when he's trying to do something.
And it's been the older brother, get it? So as the older brother, he calls the shots.
Yeah.
Everything
Yeah,
goes
but
his
I'm
way.
saying, if you're the older brother calling the shots, why wouldn't you tell her, do not kick the door in? Like, especially after she does
Because
it.
he
It's like,
didn't
look,
think she would do that,
no,
though.
look, I'm saying, he didn't think she would do that. But afterwards, he's not like, can you relax? Hold on. We're in enemy territory. My brother's here. If we make noise, he dies. Okay, fine. Then they get in, they sneak in, and all of that stuff, and they manage to they do the one stealthy thing that they do, and they set the room with the smoke, and they save Bolin. All right, that was again. The whole Amon bending thing, and I'll get to that later. But anyway, okay, cool, fine, and they save Bolin. Fantastic.
I wish
Change the
this was live, eh? We would have seen the comments in the live. If this was a live,
Yeah.
oh, they be coming for me anyway. So then I'm trying to remember now because hey, I only watched this show like the one time through. So Tanrock, what's his name? Is it Tanrock or whatever? Water guy. He's leading the bending team, and he's trying to get Korra to be on his bending force, protection force, whatever, right? Because they're supposed to be hunting these non-bender chi blockers or whatever, and all of that stuff. Okay, cool. I get it. He's shady politician and all of that stuff until they do the exposition dump on us at the end, which nobody saw coming because
Dun, dun,
why?
dun.
I just thought he was a I just thought he was a mod. I thought it was him. Now
I
there's a
agree with
brother.
you. I do agree with you. The reveal at the end was very much like,
Honestly
really?
speaking, I think he's the worst. He's the worst villain in that first. Like he's the worst thing about that.
No, he is not.
No, personally, I'm talking about my perspective. From my perspective, I think
Okay,
Tanrock was
yeah.
just too much. And I think that's why they got rid of him like that, the way they did.
Okay. Now here's one of the things that this show does constantly, and Korra fans, you need to explain this to me. Why does this show whoop her ass? Why?
As in, like, why does she get her ass whooped all the time?
No, I'm saying the show whoops her ass. It denies her powers. Like, for example, when Tanrock was bloodbending her, where was the Avatar state?
She couldn't
didn't
access
have-
the Avatar state at
No.
that point.
Aang couldn't access the Avatar state, and he did.
What do you mean? I don't think she
In
could.
season one. No, I'm saying in season one, before Aang could do
couldn't
anything,
control
he
the
ran away.
Avatar-
Yeah, he couldn't control
Control
it,
the
but he
Avatar
could
state.
access
They
it.
could always
But don't they
tap
make
into
a
it.
whole point saying that she can't access it throughout? Like she's
But
trying
why?
to get to it, but she can't.
But
Because
why?
her link with spirituality is far less
No,
than
but you don't
Aang's.
need to have a link with spirituality. Aang was
Yes, you
doing
do. They
No,
established
I'm
that
saying,
throughout the whole show.
hold up though. Aang was doing Avatar things before he even mastered his spiritual state. Remember,
Actually-
like when he ran away,
But-
he activated the Avatar state to freeze himself.
Okay, wait.
Yeah,
so
but that
here's
we
my
could-
interpretation.
Okay, yeah.
I could be wrong, but here's my interpretation, and I'll state it out. So Aang and his culture were a lot more spiritual.
than the
So
others. Yes.
he's a lot more inclined with spiritual energy, and he's a lot more at peace with himself. Therefore, even though he didn't purposely want to access the Avatar state, it just came in with like a superpower. Korra, on the other hand,
But why not
nerd
for
is-
Korra?
her journey starts at zero, where she's trying to gain access to the spiritual and try and be more spiritual. Hence
Not
why in the
necessarily.
first book she doesn't have any spiritual energy. Then in book 2, the whole thing is about spiritual energy.
I see.
And
Oh, let me not get started with season 2 because I will
And then
scream my lungs out.
then in book 3
No, but
and then in book 3 and 4,
but
that
Pila,
is the
I'm
thing
saying-
where we constantly go
but-
back
but-
to.
But Pila, I'm saying though, the Avatar state, right? It should kick in when the Avatar's life is in danger, right?
So that's where we disagree. And unfortunately, I don't think you
But
can-
I'm saying
I don't
every
think I can
time
sway
Aang-
you else.
But I'm saying every time Aang's used it, when he had no control of it, his life was in danger, right?
Oh no! Oh, he was extremely pissed off.
Yes.
Let's
one
not
of the
forget
two.
that. Let's not forget
And
that.
being angry is not a spiritual thing. Being angry is the opposite of a spiritual thing. So if he can get angry and still be spiritual,
Or
he should
rather,
have access to.
yeah, it's
So- No, please go ahead.
yeah, no, it manifests through extreme emotion. I think that's the thing that's missing because the first time,
So I'm saying if she, yeah, sorry, go ahead, Tebello. I'm sorry.
yeah, the
Yes.
first time we see Aang do it, he was on screen. That is the first time we see it on screen. He was thrown into the ocean because of Zuko, and then he popped up with the elevator glow and stuff like that because his life was in danger. Then he was grieving Monkey Atsu because he saw a skeleton, and emotions took over. And obviously, my favorite part is when the fish. So it manifests when the emotions take over with Aang. With Korra, I don't know what's going on. Now that
So-
I'm thinking about it out loud.
So Avatar aside, because I totally get where you guys are coming from, but my interpretation is that because Aang is just innately more connected to his spiritual side, aka he's more connected
He's
to
an
Kyoshi.
anal bit, yeah.
it kind of comes through when his subconscious is triggered, whether it's a
But
hyper.
I feel like that's handicapping Korra, though. Like I feel like that's unfair to Korra. I feel like
No,
she should have.
It might be a handicap, but it just means that when it depends on your personality. So because Korra has less spiritual connection, she can't access Kyoshi, and therefore,
I don't-
really,
You
But
mean
I'm
she
saying
can't
to
access
me,
she can't access Aang and the others because it doesn't just Kyoshi.
well, I guess Aang, her past lives, and Kyoshi.
But
She
I'm
just
saying
doesn't
to
have
me,
the strong as a strong spiritual connection.
And
Yeah,
I
but
do
I'm saying,
believe.
like, I'm
And
saying
she
to me though,
journeys to get
but
there.
I'm saying to me though, I just feel like, why, like, the show contradicts itself a lot anyway. So why not give it to her?
I think well, I can't say for sure what, but I'm assuming the writers purposely wanted her journey to be accessed in the Avatar state. And
Yeah,
that's why
Okay,
they
one of the show is like
they
that.
fine.
nerfed Korra a lot.
I'm okay with
I think the difference between Korra and Aang is in terms of power level is the same thing you notice between Neo in the first Matrix movie and the second one.
Yeah.
Because
So
you are the
eh,
one, do the one
yeah,
shit, but he doesn't do the one shit.
Because like
but
if you think
anyway,
about it, the parallel like how Aang had to learn each element in each book. I feel like in
mm,
this book it's more about
mhm,
her learning each part of her spirituality. So
which
instead of
is
just learning bending,
Like I said, this character was created to not be like Aang. That's why the story is so anti
but
Last
But I'm
Airbender. Even the
saying being
personality is
anti the
anti.
airbend, but I'm saying they're going to the point where they're being anti the concept of being the avatar for me personally,
okay,
because
but
I'm
if she
just
could
like,
just enter the avatar state whenever she wanted to in book one, she could
I'm not
just solve
saying
all her
whenever she
problems in an
wants. No,
episode.
Defeats
I'm
the
not saying
purpose.
whenever she
Yeah.
wants to. I'm just saying whenever she's in danger. Because when we get to the okay, anyway, I'm gonna skip the Tanrock fight, whatever Tanrock captures her.
Yeah,
Okay,
because
cool.
no, let's put it into the different. There are two different scenes where bloodbending was involved. One, when Korra was being trapped by this crazy man that she fought, and
Tanrock.
two, we go back in the past with Aang, getting the same treatment. How did Aang survive Avatar state? And how did Korra not go into the Avatar state because her life was in danger, knowing full well that her past life is Aang? Aang would have seen like, oh. my reincarnation is being trapped. Girl, let me tell you how to solve this. Nothing like that
You're
happens.
still forgetting what Pillar said earlier.
Is
Who
Remember the
showed up
character
for Aang
flaw
though?
thing that we spoke about earlier?
yeah?
Don't forget that. One thing the writers made sure to remember when they were writing Korra is they made sure not to go away against what her flaws were at that time, at that moment. She still had issues with, if you remember,
And
she
I
still had issues with Tenzin, right?
Mhm,
And the whole purpose of Tenzin being there is to guide her into that whole spiritual thing that she's
And
lacking, right? So at that moment, there was no way she was going to tap into the Avatar state, dog.
but
okay, fine. Let's get to the last part of this then. Let's get to the last part of this. So
okay.
she does the meditation, she sees the memory, she sees Aang do the avatar state thing, right? Okay, cool. Skip. We get to they infiltrate Amon's thing and then they're fighting Amon, right? Why couldn't she avatar state then?
I can't remember exactly, man. I haven't watched the show in a while, but
No,
I
I'm
can't
saying
remember
she
exactly
gets
which
the
moment.
past life. But I'm saying she gets the past life memory. She sees
Does she?
Aang do it.
Does she?
Yes, she
Because
sees Aang do it.
I thought it was
Because
just
the thing
it
is,
was a
Tenzin,
retelling. So
no.
she
I'm
actually
saying, I'm saying the reason it's a retelling is because she's seeing through Aang's eyes what Aang did when he was dealing with that bloodbender.
Is this after she can airbend?
No. This is after she gets captured by Tanrock and she meditates for the first time, and she sees the story of Aang.
But I mean, she can
get
only access
what?
the avatar state after she can airbend, right?
No,
Which is even more
no,
dumb.
that's not. No. That's not what happens. I'll tell you what happens exactly. But anyway, I'm saying, we get to the Amon fight. Amon is bloodbending her, and she's not doing it. And I'm like, why? And instead, what they do is they make her airbend because he took away all of her bending except the one element that she can bend now. And
Which
she literally
doesn't
bends it by saying no because Amon's about to do something to Mako. And then she just does a boxing motion and the wind comes out. And then Amon tries to bloodbend her and then she's just like, nah, not today. I was bloodbended before, not anymore. And I'm like, that's the perfect time to introduce the Avatar state.
Look,
Because then it's
I
a
can't
Deus
blame
Ex
you, man.
Machina. It's a
I
Deus Ex
can't hate
Machina.
it. It's true. It's kind of like it reminds me of the Ahsoka moment
yeah,
where,
no, because the more I think about it, the less sense it makes. Because
it does remind me a little bit of
And you
that.
know how they tried to explain it? They literally said Amon blocked all the other pathways, but he missed the airbending pathway for some reason.
For me, it makes sense, guys. I don't know.
How?
No, the more I think about it, the less sense it makes. Because
How,
Aang,
Mr.
if you go back a
Please.
generation, Aang could not earthbend, could not firebend, but he
No,
still
I'm not
pushed.
talking about. I'm not talking about that logic. I'm talking about, dude. You guys need to see this from a storytelling perspective,
I'm
right?
trying.
We
And
are.
and you guys are surprising because you're writers as well.
How is this?
We just saw this person airbend for the very first time.
How?
Struggling to no, just hear me out. She was struggling to airbend all along. Then she finally airbends. You don't take that away, that moment away, by now having her to become to have the avatar.
True. Need payoff.
No, but she
Payoff.
was failed. No, but
No,
wait.
Look,
okay.
But Mr.
I agree with
Extrodin,
you.
wait.
I agree
Hold
with
on.
you that it was a random. Like I agree with you that it was a random moment. Like that was just like a cop out. That's true. But what I'm saying is, even though it was a cop out, nah, you still needed her as a character to be able to still digest what just happened and for her to
Yeah.
be able to still know if she
No,
can
but
even
like I'm
airbend
saying,
again.
It's
no,
kind of
I'm
like,
saying,
why didn't Goku just turn Super Saiyan on Earth when he was
Exactly.
fighting Vegeta?
no. Here's the difference. First off, the setup, development. No. Where was the setup? Where was the development? And that's a random payoff. One. Two, she was failing the entire time. Show her making progress in airbending, just a little bit. Have her just push something. And then also,
I agree with you.
if she's
Are
getting
you?
blood
Whoa,
bent,
wait. Are you telling me this airbending revelation is worse than the Sabine one in Ahsoka?
it's about the same. It's
No,
about the
it's
same.
not
The way
the
you're explaining it,
same.
it's the same.
It's not the
According to
same, guys.
the way
It's
you're explaining it is the same.
Okay.
not the same. How
Because
dare you?
Okay.
It's
No,
similar.
I'll say this. Let me be fair. I'll be fair. There's more setup for Korra airbending than there is for Sabine being a Jedi.
Yes.
I'll be fair.
Right.
But
Okay.
it's still random. It's still
Yes.
random, and
No,
it doesn't make
that's
sense.
for the
Yeah.
And then
random
also,
moment. I agree with you.
yes,
It was
and
hella
what I'm
random.
saying is that if she goes into the Avatar state and airbends, it's fine. I don't understand why that would be any different.
Oh, that would have been too much, though.
No, would it have? Aang did it in the first episode. In the first episode, he never bent not a lick of water, and then he's bending water to defeat the Fire Nation ship, and he just
Where
did
was
it.
he again?
He was in the land of water, but he never
Okay.
bent water once.
Do you see the difference there?
What
No,
is that?
this air bending doesn't require anything. There's air everywhere. She can bend it whenever.
Boom, duh, bam, hello.
So, no, but I'm saying she was failing at air bending, and then all her other bending gets
I'm not getting
blocked,
either
but she
argument
airbends.
right now.
No, I'm saying, Tebello,
That's
to
okay,
me,
dog. When you
it's
edit this,
that
it'll make sense. Trust me.
okay. I'm saying
You overestimate my intelligence, buddy.
okay.
I
Tebello,
overestimated.
this is what I'm
Yeah,
saying.
I'm
Right?
not that smart.
Tebello, this is what I'm saying. This is how it happened.
Right.
This is how
I'll
it
be back.
happened.
Sorry, guys.
Amon is about. All right, cool. I'm saying Amon is about to bloodbend, or block Korra's bending. That's what he's about to do, right? He starts blocking it, and then the only thing that was left is airbending. For some reason, why didn't Amon block all the bending? I don't understand. And then she literally airbends, not by doing an airbending move. She just does a boxing motion, and she's bending air, and she knocks Amon away from Mako because Mako was about to get bloodbent also. Now, I'm saying, to me, it makes more sense because she's getting blood bent and bending things are happening, that it would make more sense for her to do what Aang did from the story that she saw at that point in time and use the avatar state. Because it means she had a connection to Aang. Aang would have stepped in and done some things. And also, it's not a cop-out because that's been set up from the previous season. You can't keep going anti your previous your previous property. It doesn't help to enhance the world. It seems like the world is clashing.
And I think it would have been a little more. It would have been a little more nuanced, or that aided the storyline of Bender supremacy if it showed how dangerous the Avatar state is when it's uncontrolled. You know what I mean?
But
Could
then,
have. It could have.
but then she would have also proved Amon's point about bending becoming dangerous. Like
Exactly. That's
No, but he's a bender. First off and
no,
foremost,
I'm
he's
not
a
disagreeing. I'm not
Whoa,
disagreeing
well,
with you, man. I'm think like your logic. What you guys are saying. There's nothing wrong with what you guys are saying. You guys are making
Right.
good points, no? What I'm just thinking. I'm just being maybe playing devil's advocate here, right? And I still see the sense in the decisions that they took. It doesn't mean I agree with everything they did, but I do see the sense in it, though. I do see why they made that choice.
I
don't. I'm
I
still
agree.
struggling.
I understand with your perspective. I understand what you're trying to communicate. Yes, it's very noble trying to see things from a different person's perspective. Did it land though? That's the question I need to ask.
For me, it did, though. For me, it did.
I can't I can agree with that
It did
because
not. The first thing, like, cause he literally even
I'm not
said,
as I'm not as
"I airbend.
I
I'm an airbender."
like obviously an avatar, but
Yes.
but uh, I'm not as extreme as BuckMeister. What I'm
Oh,
trying
I'm
to
saying that, like, she was even surprised as a character. She was like, "Where did this come from?"
what I'm trying to and what I'm trying to communicate in regards to with regards to what the how it landed, how it felt to land from me in a storyline perspective, in a storytelling perspective. That yeah, it's I get this, I get what you're saying, Mr. Extrodin. What I fail to see as a landing point is that we've seen how dangerous the Avatar state can be with Aang. Why?
Yeah, but we haven't like okay.
Yeah.
Okay, let me let you finish and then I'll come in.
Why aren't we giving Korra the same thing? I understand the writers did say something about having to prevent. They didn't want to use the Avatar state as a get out of jail free card type of situation. Fair. Uh, uh, it's that decision. It's a dumbass one because Aang has been facing in terrifying scenarios, and here we are.
Korra is not Aang.
Yeah, Aang was
No, but she's an avatar. She's the
But she's not
avatar.
Aang.
Let me
No,
speak.
but she's the
Let me
avatar.
But
speak.
she's
I
not Aang.
refuse. No,
Buckmaster,
but I
let me speak.
refuse.
Let me
She's not
speak.
Aang.
She's not Aang. Aang was a 12-year-old child when these
She
things were
is
happening.
not Aang, bro.
I don't know
Yes.
what's being discussed, but I'm with
That's
Mr. Extrodin.
Hitsugaya.
She is
In
not
Bleach,
Aang.
Yeah.
wait, let me explain something to you. In Bleach, there's Toshiro Hitsugaya.
Hitsuga Toshiro. Yes.
Then there's Soifon.
Yes.
Those two characters are not the same.
But they still have a
Yeah, they
Bankai.
can't do that.
Yes, they can
You
use
can't
Bankai.
use that.
Yes.
Oh, no, hear me out. Can they use
Yeah.
Bankai? Yes,
Yes.
they can use Bankai. Did they use Bankai at the same time? At the same
When
age?
when
Under
the
the same...
situation called for it, they
No,
No,
but
hear me out. What I'm saying is,
no.
what I'm saying
wait,
is,
wait,
what
wait.
I'm saying is, what I'm saying is, Gohan Goku, another situation again.
okay.
Gohan, wait, hear me out. Hear me out.
I'm
Gohan,
curious.
it took forever for Gohan to actually get where his dad wanted him to get, right? Like during the Cell Saga fight,
Really?
his fight with Cell, yeah,
Yeah, it did.
like Cell had to step on Android 16 for him to actually.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Okay. You're
You
talking
get what I'm
about
saying?
okay. No, I thought you're talking about the hyperbolic time
No,
training
I'm not
thing. I
talking
was like,
about
what?
hyperbolic time chamber. What I'm saying is, he was a Super Saiyan. He was strong. His dad knew what he was able to do, but that had to happen for him to actually tap into that thing, right?
Trauma.
He just saw Krillin die, and then boom.
No,
Right?
but the
So
bottom line is trauma was the key.
what I'm saying is, the ability is there, right? The power is there, but
And
Aang and Korra are not the same
I'm with
person.
Mr. Extrodin.
Okay, now Mike, can I
whoa,
please
hold
retort?
on.
Can I please retort?
Both Gohan and Goku were triggered by trauma.
They were triggered by trauma. Yes, it's true, but
And literally someone
but
dying, not just
but
pretending to get beaten up, had to die in front of him.
no, like Android 16 was already beheaded, bro.
But
No,
you're
but
supposed to.
wait.
Like,
Hear
hear what
Mr.
I'm saying.
Extrodin. Mr.
Hear
Extrodin.
what I'm
Here's
saying.
what I'm saying, though.
Wait. Hear what I'm saying. And I think that's what you guys are missing. You guys are trying to give Korra the same treatment, the same reactions, or the same decisions that Aang would have made.
No,
No.
that's not what I'm saying.
Okay.
I'm saying that the avatar state would kick in to save the avatar,
Exactly.
regardless of which avatar it is.
But you're assuming that the avatar state works exactly for Korra as does for Aang.
Well,
That's
it's been
the
I'm
working.
saying at that point,
That's
I'm
what
saying
I'm
at
trying
that
to
point,
say.
but what I'm saying is, okay, fine, it doesn't work the same. But she had the story from Aang. She had a connection with Aang.
But
Aang was
Doesn't
trying
mean
to
that she's
talk to
no,
her.
no.
No, but Aang
From
was
a
trying
law
to talk to her.
perspective, it has been
This is
doing
the
the exact
lore.
same thing. If you look at
This is the lore.
if you read up about Kyoshi, Yang Chen, Chuna,
But she's not those people, dog.
Roku, and they're not each other.
That's
But
the
the
actually
avatar
she
state has
is.
been coming in
Actually, she
clutch for
is.
all of them.
You know what, guys? Please, you know what? I know you guys don't like commenting, but I beg you
Yeah.
to comment on this
No.
episode,
Yeah.
I'm
especially
saying
Just because
according to the lore, they're all the same person. It's a reincarnation of the same life. Why wouldn't it work? Why
No,
wouldn't it work?
that's
Especially
that's
when her
another
life
question
is
I need to
important.
ask. Okay, we'll have to really argue about the reincarnation thing and how it actually works
No,
because
that's how the
I get
cycle
the
works.
doesn't make sense. That thing.
yeah. From my perspective is that they're not the same person.
They're
They're
not.
just the reincarnation of Rava, which was also a lovely retcon.
Yes.
No, Rava is okay. I'll get to Rava. Okay, anyway, and
So
then basically, let's get to the end of this. Amon defeats himself. That's how I saw it. I didn't think Korra played a part in his defeat. Because literally, if he just thought about it for 2 seconds, he wouldn't have made a tornado. He would have just swum to the surface and said that the avatar kicked me out the window.
tomatoes, tomatoes, man. It is what it is. What can I say?
they had to end the season. I think everyone was like, okay, this is the last episode. You need to end.
So he just makes a tornado and defeats
Yes.
himself because he was
Yes.
fine. He was fine. And literally, he's one of the best water benders in this series. You see Korra do things where she's swimming like a dolphin, which I actually thought was dope. Honestly, I'm saying these water benders are doing things in the water. Why did Amon panic? You mean to tell me he's not been in high-pitched battles? He just panicked.
I think he probably panicked because for the first time after taking someone's bending away, they retaliated with a bending ability.
He's a bender.
Yeah,
He's seen this.
Buckmeister, I've never seen you so shook by something in my life, dog.
No,
He's wounded.
I don't think Ahsoka got you like this. Jeez.
no, actually it did. But anyway,
Well, no,
I'm saying here's
I
the thing,
thought
though. I'm invested in Avatar. I wanted to like this show. It just kept doing things that I didn't understand.
and here's
Like
the
I'm saying,
I think
Amon defeated himself. Like literally,
and I think here's where you depart, where the four of us have a major departures. You wanted to be invested in Korra. You went in there as a student wanting to like it. Pila, you liked it. Full stop.
Yeah, I like it.
There you go. Mr. Extrodin, I
I
think
liked it full stop.
you liked it full stop, and I
At a
couldn't
point,
care
even,
less.
at a point, actually, before I rewatched the Avatar: The Last Airbender, I actually thought this was better than Avatar.
So
Until I rewatched it.
yeah, so and I couldn't care less. I was in the group like this ain't for me. I think that's Korra. What I appreciated about Korra is that she taught me how to protect my mental health. If I can see a disaster coming, why should I go ahead and watch it? Because then, if I'm proven right and I end up, I'll end up making 5 hour long rants about it like the famous YouTubers are doing. I ain't got time for that. So why should I watch it? So I think that's where I came in. So
okay.
then
Now let's actually talk about how she gets to meet her past lives.
That's
Yeah.
season 2, right?
Any takers?
No, it's the end of season one.
Season 1.
Because
End of season 1, yeah.
Yeah,
How did that happen? So basically,
she
she's
yelled at her
depressed.
boyfriend. She's big sad.
She's depressed that she can't bend. So what does Aang do? He
Like
basically just gives her the avatar state. And I'm like, if you could do that, dog,
he
where were you?
He energy bends her to heal her, and then yay.
I'm
I
saying,
agree
if
with
he
you.
could do that, where was he?
Even
I
took
agree with
advantage.
you.
Where
I
was
just
the
have
I'm
questions.
Korra, the first thing,
What do you
if I'm
mean? Where was
Korra, the first thing I'm doing, No, I'm saying she didn't have bending. She was depressed. He came in and gave her all her bending back.
Yeah.
If I'm Korra, the first thing I'm asking you is, where were you when Amon was blood bending me?
Which is funny because that's what other avatars used to do. You sound just like you're sounding just like Kiyoshi and what's his name? What's the name of that Go with the Flow avatar? What was his name? Why do I keep forgetting it
Oh,
now?
Korok.
Kurok.
Oh,
The way she hated Kurok is so funny.
but guys, I think you guys are not seeing the amount of backlash that these writers had in their heads from the viewer's perspective. Had Aang,
But you don't write like
if
that.
Aang came at that time, it would have defeated the purpose of Korra being the main character of the show, right?
No,
Because
but
at the end
people
of the day,
hated. But people
Wow.
hated that ending anyway.
like think about it. Think about how
It's
in Dragon
giving.
Ball Z, there are moments where you're like, no, Mara, no, this time Vegeta should have just defeated this guy. And then Goku and then you just kill everybody. Like, really? So
And
Vegeta's win.
so
You get what I'm saying?
now,
Like it would have defeated, first of all, it would have defeated the purpose of Korra being the avatar because she still has to learn from mistakes. She still has to grow as a person. She still has to find out how she can overcome challenges that she's
But
facing.
Aang did all of that.
That's why Aang didn't intervene. It's only when
and
he
No,
realized that.
but I'm saying no. But this is what I'm saying though. Aang did all of that. I'm not saying Korra needs to be Aang. But the thing I'm saying that the Avatar state solves everything. Sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes it was an impairment. But it usually kicked in when the Avatar's life was in danger. And if we get to the end of that season, a lot of people hated that. They hated that Aang just gave it to her because it's just like, why?
let me put it into perspective. This is the way this ended was like foreshadowing for the end of what's his name, that lovely movie we love so much, The Force Awakens. Because it's Luke Skywalker right there in the end says basically nothing. It's the same thing that happened here.
You guys
So
about someone who couldn't tap into the spirit world, no? Okay.
so we have look.
She did though. She saw the story.
And
She
there are
did
many
the meditation.
and there are many characters that struggle to reach to connect with their past lives if the Avatar state did kick in. Well, another example was Kyoshi. She literally had to drown herself to speak to Korok. So that I agree with the way they wrote themselves into a corner with the Avatar state, with Aang being Aang being so powerful as a past Avatar, and to try and make a unique standpoint of her own her own Avatar-ness thing. What I think what fell flat in my part, I think they just counted themselves. The writers, I mean, they literally counted themselves into a corner, trying to preempt what people will think is going to react when it comes to.
Just what okay.
But
Well,
I'm
I'm just
saying
saying.
that's not a good way to write your show. You should
that's-
just write your
I'm
show
not
the way
disagreeing
things
with anything
naturally
you guys are
progress.
saying. I'm just saying that's probably what happened.
No, which is a tragedy in my mind because it was
Yeah,
this
I
awesome
don't think
world.
it's good writing. I really don't think it's good writing because I would have not had her get bloodbent by Amon then. Or I would have had her learn airbending earlier because remember, airbending you can bend from anywhere and even bend from his mouth. So if she was getting blood bent by Amon, you could even just make it such that she can blow with her mouth. Or make her such a dope airbender that she can bend with her face like Boomy. If you don't want to give it an avatar state, give her something.
I hear
And it would have
you, but
defeated the purpose of Aman taking her powers. But I do hear what you're saying.
No, but like, don't let him take her powers. It's fine. He's
Yeah,
already threatening and dangerous.
I hear you. I think there are a few things. Okay, let's close our thoughts for season one. It's been an hour already.
Oh my god. Okay. All right.
Yeah. So my thoughts, they could have just changed up the plot a little. We
Remove Mako as a character.
not like yes, the cast may have been oversaturated. I think that they should have just shown given credence to the people who are against bending by showing just how dangerous bending can be. Like I said, an out of control Everton state is extremely dangerous. We've seen it so many times before, and it took how many people to say somebody had to go hug the living hell out of Aang before he went and killed the bandits. Screw all life is precious at that moment. So
No,
we
Aang
we
got
need,
bodies. Aang got bodies.
and then of course, because it's a new generation, I also wanted to see legit death. People had to die. Come on, it's
Well, I'll give the show that it does do that. Because the way that it ends with Amon, even though and Tanrock, even though I didn't care, it was just like, yeah, all right, we're going off for brothers
no,
together, we're free, boom.
I wanted to see more people dying. I wanted to think maybe this whole ending people's bending ability slowly kills them. Like they grow sick, and after a couple of weeks, they actually die. Something like that. Give it a sense of urgency to what this thing is happening. That's what I felt would have been would have elevated Amon as a villain. How did
Oh,
they take
also
that thing, by
shouts
the
out
way?
to the first time. Also shouts out to Korra not learning a lesson because the first time she goes to confront Amon alone against everybody's wishes, she literally just gets pwned immediately, and then Amon terrifies her. I mean, I liked that moment, but then she did it a lot in the other seasons, so I was just like, when do we learn? But anyway, fine.
Okay,
Season
so
two.
that's my feelings. Hey, we've got other
All right, yeah,
calls.
sorry. You guys can also just wrap up on season
Yeah,
one.
let's hear Pila. What are your thoughts on season one?
I agree with the sentiment of making the show tighter. Just a rewrite, making one villain and fleshing out that one villain, and also perhaps the central theme of Bender superiority being a conflict that all the characters are actually going through. I think that's the main thing because there's a lot of themes and they drop the ball here and there. But I just think tighter, better villain and tighter theme structure.
Cool. Mr. Extrodin, your thoughts?
I think it was fun with the oversaturation, but I think they needed more longer episodes. I think if we had enough time to get most of those characters, like to get to know most of those characters, even if you did one episode that just focused on the Equalists and their mission and what they're about and how it came about or whatever, I think that would have actually added more meat to the story. But I think personally, I don't have an issue with any of those characters except for Tunrock. I didn't like him. I think he should have just been a shrewd politician, but I don't think they should have made him into like this main sort of like another
So
villain.
basically, everybody's agreeing with what I'm saying.
That's
Agree with
all you
anything.
had.
Just agreeing with
That's
some,
all you had.
and we never disagreed with that to begin with.
Yeah, I mean, we hear you, but the thing is, we still enjoy the show. So, like, the criticism didn't,
Yes.
just
I'm
displease
not.
my
I'm not saying that
enjoyment.
the criticism should. I'm just saying. For me that hurt my enjoyment of season one. Okay, season
And
two.
I couldn't care less. That's still my feelings.
Okay, season two, and this is where it really grinded my gears. Okay, so first off and foremost, we get Unalaq, right? Unalaq just oozes evil to me. He just oozes
Okay,
evil.
so one, who's Udalok? Where did he come from?
Okay, so Unalaq is Korra's uncle. It's
From the water tribe.
Korra's dad's brother from the water
South
tribe.
Pole or something?
No, yeah, he's from the South Pole. So
Okay, so
no, I think
why?
he's from the north. I think he's from the north.
Okay.
Yeah, I think he's from the north. Anyway, so first off and foremost with this season, right? Korra and Mako's relationship is just grating as heck. They just make her so mean to this guy for no reason. Anytime he tries to help, all she does is bite his head off. And I get that you're under pressure, but all the time, every time Mako made a suggestion, oh, so that's what you mean? Ha! You
Do you
want
think
like
that Korra was in any relationship before dating Mako? Not that I'm making up excuses. I'm just like, remember, I'm thinking about it from her character being someone who grew up
Yeah,
acting all this time.
I like your defensive jump from the question. Is like, oh, wait, not to say.
No. Like, how can I put it? You know, like usually when we talk about these things, I think sometimes we
But
don't
nobody is.
consider
But I'm saying
we don't
nobody's like
consider
that
the actual
24/7.
character and the
But I'm
character's
saying,
background.
yes, if we're talking from the character's background, but I'm saying Korra had two parents that grew up in a loving relationship. She knows what that looks like.
Well, she should.
Fair enough.
She shouldn't. I'm sure she didn't see her mom snapping at her dad 24/7.
Yeah, but I guess I agree with what you said. You're
I
right.
have a non-canon
You have a
answer.
good point.
I
I
have a
guess
non-canon answer to that question, but
how do
you won't
how
like it.
how do you deal with the pressure of becoming an avatar and having those issues and still maintaining a relationship that you probably don't have experience in?
Oh, I don't
No,
know.
but
Maybe
I'm saying you had relationships. You had this pressure, and you've talked to people, and people have been nice to you. I'm pretty sure you know how to be nice. All I'm saying is she didn't need to be biting his head off every time because she asked him for suggestions. She would say, "What do you think, Mako?"
I agree
And
with
when
you.
Mako says, "I think this," then she's like, "Oh, so that's what you think?" And then, okay, so do you want me to be supportive or not, or
Who does she
whatever?
listen to though? Who does Korra listen to?
Mako
In
tried to be
general,
supportive,
not in a
but I'm
relationship.
saying Mako tried to be supportive. He tried to be supportive. She didn't even give him anything, not one thing.
but that goes back to her character flaw. She's a bitch.
That's not fun to watch.
think
And I'm saying nobody's that 24/7.
I think the problem with the romantic subplot is it goes nowhere. So like even by the time we reach the end of the show, Korra
Yeah.
doesn't learn to be a better romantic
Yes.
in her love life. They kind of just drop it in season 3, and she never learns that aspect of it. So for me, I do feel like it is a waste of time. In
I agree.
retrospect, at the time, I thought it was gonna go somewhere, but in
Yeah,
retrospect, I do
I agree with you
get you.
because I genuinely thought at the end they would get back together and fix things, but the way it ended, I was so heavily like this is one of my biggest criticisms about this show, is how
Hurrah!
that whole romantic storyline. Yeah, it was honestly just a waste of time.
And
It
I
took
mean,
the
it happens
biggest
with
left I've ever
everybody.
seen.
Hey,
But it
bro.
happens with everybody. Like Asami and Mako. Is there an Asami and Mako compilation out there where they're spending multiple moments together? Or is it just the ride and the dinner? Why did he like her?
But that's
Why?
okay. Let's be a little fair. Let's compare to Aang and the gang. You don't see any protected romantic anything with Sokka and Suki, whatever her name is.
No, they have moments. There's still build up. Sokka is a misogynist. Suki teaches him not to be one. He respects her, and then they get together. And then they separate, and then they get together again. There's things there. Even if it's short, there's something. It's a short
Okay.
story.
What I'm trying to argue is I'm not even arguing. I'm just adding a little nuance. Is that this show was never really that big into the romantic stuff in the first place, was it?
No, I disagree. I mean, okay, there's Aang and Katara, but that's
Which was
obvious.
the originals.
Yeah.
Obvious. But I'm saying Aang and Katara, that's obvious. I'm saying if we go to Sokka and Suki, again, what the show did is that it made that a subplot. It didn't make it a focus. Korra made that stuff a focus. And it's like, that's not what...
Okay, I get you now. Okay, no.
But I'm saying in that subplotness, they still had setup, development, payoff.
Fair enough.
Okay, anyway, now let's get to my biggest issue with this season. It's Unalaq. Like, Korra being Korra, I still, whatever. I'm like, you trust your uncle over your father who raised you immediately. No questions.
She doesn't listen to anybody, bro.
But I'm saying, no questions asked at all? None? Okay, fine. She's a teenager. Whatever, fine. Unalaq.
No. Teenagers aren't stupid.
I'm saying Unalaq, right?
Yeah.
First off, the thing that frustrates me is that the Civil War plot was interesting. I was actually invested. I was wondering what was going to happen. And I was like, obviously, Korra, you need to see that your uncle is a bad guy. I don't know why you're taking so long to recognize this.
It's
I'm saying, as a kid, right? If somebody walked into your dad's house and just starts dishing the furniture and dishing the thing and it's his brother, you're not going to feel some type of way at all.
You know?
He came in like it was a Rock promo. He came in like he was the Rock. He was like, all you jabronis don't know anything about spirits. All of you jabronis don't know what you're doing here. You fruity pebbles. Look at this. Look at this. I'ma lay the smackers down over here and know your role and shut your mouth. Know your like that's what he did. Like that's the first thing. And he's like, bro, this is your first day here. You're not even gonna say hello, enjoy the culture. You're just gonna come in straight roasting.
You know? Look, I'm not gonna uh, go into protected details about the season because I know almost nothing. All I know is she figures out she goes back to the very first Avatar, blah blah blah. One, we get to see Avatar one
That's
and
just
this whole.
that's a big thing that I have an issue with. So all right. So anyway, Unalaq being Unalaq, and then obviously first off, why didn't Korra start throwing hands with Unalaq when Unalaq locked up her father the first time? Like this character has not been a character that waits, ponders, and thinks. Usually she gets information and she acts immediately. When she found out that Amon was a bender, the first thing she did is she ran to the town square and said Amon is a bender, like it was going to change people's minds. Why didn't she throw hands with Unalaq immediately? That's what I was waiting for.
Didn't
When
she?
Unalaq said,
Didn't she? Wasn't she convinced that Unalaq is her saving grace when it came to the spirits?
no,
I
but
just
I'm
don't
saying
remember
she
the
didn't
the
listen. Yeah,
chronological.
but I'm saying she didn't listen to people, and I'm saying whenever somebody messed with her family, all of that logic went out the window. Pilla at the trial, she said she was going to end the judge publicly.
Didn't she almost try and get him eaten?
I'm saying no. That's another thing when she's doing her investigations. She said publicly at the trial, "I'm going to end the judge if you end them."
Avatar not.
So, like, that's when I was like, okay, Korra, now's the time for you to get mad. Now's the time for you to do your thing. Let's go. And then she talks to Unalaq. Why?
He's
And
family,
then,
yo.
and then it takes her going down to the bunker to go see her parents. And then she fights Unalaq. She should have been boxing with him immediately.
All I just, all my surprise is that the whole harmonic convergence and uh,
Oh, I'm gonna get to that. Okay, okay. Anyway, fine. Unalaq's Civil War, they drop it. Now it's about the spirits. First off, I don't like that the spirits are just around. I don't get that. To me, spirits, the way the spirits work, and I'm saying like they're around and they like purposeless. Like again, if we're going back to Avatar, sorry, Airbender, I'm sorry, this is the sequel. I'm saying the spirits in there seem to be having specific purposes or specific domains. They don't just roam around and they're just upset at humankind. Humankind are usually doing something, right? To make the spirits upset. I mean,
that,
that's why the I think his name is Pi. I'm forgetting it. The panda bear.
hey,
The panda
bye.
bear. Heibai. There we go. Heibai didn't look at the Fire Nation and the Earth Nation. He just snatched up anybody that was human because in his mind, humans messing up my forest.
Yeah,
These spirits here,
and
why are
it
they mad? We don't know.
and it took a waterbender in the Fire Nation to help clear up the river for a Fire Nation spirit to come and say, "Hey, thanks, my girl, thank you." So we get to see that they don't see like the lion turtle says, it's the energy within yourself. They never really saw fire, earth, and nothing like that. They just saw people. But they're gonna go into. We see my big gripe with. Okay, continue with your rant, Mr. BuckMeister, because I'm gonna.
Okay. Anyway.
My irritation with this second season comes into two major philosophies in the storylines. So we'll
Mhm.
just come back to that one
Okay.
later.
Anyway, so moving on, right? Another thing I don't like is that Unalaq teaches Korra more than Tenzin. Tenzin, the guy who's supposed to be the Jiraiya of this series, the sensei, he teaches the main character less than the supervillain of season two.
True. But then again, we can say the same thing about Pain and Naruto.
No, Naruto, like no, like Pain teaches Naruto like in a philosophical way. I'm talking
Yeah,
about ability.
that's what I'm saying.
Korra gains abilities to wave water at the spirits because of Unalaq's training,
Wow.
which she uses more than Tenzin's training.
But
Because we didn't
Tenzin
see what
is not
Tenzin
a
trained
water.
her in.
Interesting questions.
I disagree with that statement, but it's okay.
What did Tenzin show her?
I mean, he taught her how to hone her airbending.
No,
throughout the
when we
series.
see
I
her
mean,
airbending, she's just doing boxing moves. She's not doing the airbending stuff.
she's much better at airbending.
She's
by
too
the way.
impatient to
But
learn the proper way to do it. That's why she was struggling
No, but
to.
I'm saying you need to have Tenzin teach her. Have
She's
Tenzin
been.
show her something.
What
No,
is
but
it?
I'm saying
which
that's
is another.
implication. That's off
Now that
screen. That's like headcanon teach. I don't like that. Show me.
that's another thing we notice with Korra as opposed to, well, I'm sorry, I'm going to compare the two, no matter how hard you're telling me not to, Mr. Writer or Mr. Apologist for Korra. I'm going to compare because the nuances that you see in the last one that they should have kept in this one, even if they're trying to keep it as far apart from as possible. I agree with that. I agree with I agree with you philosophically, conversationally. But in practice, there are some things that you should have kept, like Aang learns different fighting styles in essence when he's busy learning different earthbending, the different techniques. You see, he's using Bagua when he's using earthbend, when he's using the pressure sensors. He's using when he's using his earthbending, he's Bagua. When he's using the dancing dragon stances, you can see the different techniques being implemented. Korra, you just see fist and kick and thrust and I'm trying to see where the nuances. What techniques did you learn from the? Yes, you learned earthbend. You knew how to earthbend and firebend when you were a kid, but the techniques that are taught, like the firebending breath that you need to learn to master master your firebending, the water, learning how to flow with it. She's fantastic with waterbending. Don't get me wrong. The earthbending, how the
It's the
different
best
stances
element.
work. So there are things I don't see that you've learned different techniques, but go ahead, you go, Queen. You throw
And
you throw
I'm saying like the
your
thing is,
fire punch and everything. It's
and
okay.
I'm saying like the
Okay, let
thing
me
is,
ask you
Tenzin is
something.
so old.
Hi.
Let me ask you something. Someone who figured out that she's an avatar at a very young age
Yes.
has a very strong personality. Like
Yes.
she's a hothead.
Yeah.
Usually, for the most part, does not think that she would lose in a fight. Why would she be practicing different fighting techniques in
Because at that point,
Oh,
but
I don't know
she's
because
too
Amon
short.
beat her ass.
Okay, there you go. He said it faster than I
So,
can.
Tanrock literally
how many
blood bent her.
Amons are there, bro?
Tanrock blood bent her.
Okay.
How many Amons and Town Rocks are there?
The sports arena, she almost made the team lose.
I don't know. Personally, I
look,
think
I think
The chi blockers that blocked her chi.
look, it goes back to the character flaw thing. Like her hot-headedness
but the
No,
is
amount
but
of
something
I'm
that
saying
L.
like
carries
she
that
didn't
throughout the
learn
fully,
from.
show.
that
I'm
fully
saying she
comprehends what I'm
didn't
saying.
learn from Amon. I'm saying she didn't learn from Amon to listen to Tenzin. Like Amon literally almost traumatized her, and Tenzin had to go fetch her. When Tenzin told her repeatedly, "This is a bad idea,"
But I
she
told
could
you
have
earlier,
started listening to
Korra
Tenzin.
does not listen to anybody, dog.
Yeah, I
No,
get
but I'm
that.
saying that was a traumatic experience. She just
Like I'm not disagreeing with what you guys are saying. I'm rationalizing this from her character standpoint.
And my argument with regards to that is, how much does she need to suffer and lose for her to start learning a lesson?
She's
That's
stubborn, dog.
But
She needs to
also,
learn the hard way, I guess.
it's quite clear.
That's now I'm going from disliking her to feeling sorry for her. Yeah, all your arguments are making me pity her even more.
That's great.
But also, how? Here's my question, right? You guys clearly have repeatedly already stated that you find the character to be too hot-headed and making dumb decisions. How many times are you going to be flabbergasted by how many times you're going to be offended?
no, because I want her to learn. I want her to
How
learn.
many
I'm fine
times?
with her being hard-headed, but I'm saying there's a difference between just being hard-headed and
Like
just
I'm
not
not
learning
gonna
the
give you the
situation.
same answer throughout all the books.
Yeah.
I'm
It's
saying
like you
how is
guys
that
are like,
development?
Ve-
But I'm
you
Vexo,
saying
remind me
if
of
you
those
look at
people who are annoyed that Gohan is scared. How many, like every single time Gohan gets scared, you're like, oh my god, Gohan was scared again. Oh, like that's the character.
Okay, but I'm saying, where's the Super Saiyan 2 part then? Because we get to Super Saiyan 2, Gohan wasn't scared. We get to Super Saiyan 1, Gohan wasn't
That's at
scared.
the end.
We get to
That's at the
Gohan
end of
versus Frieza.
Gohan's journey.
Gohan wasn't scared.
Yes,
Yeah,
that's
but
at
I'm
the
saying by
end
the
of
time we get to
Gohan's journey.
Namek, but I'm saying by the time we get to Namek, Gohan is not scared. He's proactive as a character.
No,
He's literally
Gohan still
taking
gets
decisions.
scared.
No, no, but I'm
Well,
saying he goes to look for the Dragon Ball. He actively tries to fight Frieza. He actively tries to save Dende. He's the one that convinced Krillin that they need to go
You're
save
being
Dende.
very selective. The first time he meets Frieza, does he go fight Frieza?
No, I'm not saying he fights
No,
Frieza the
he
first
gets
time, but
scared.
everyone was scared. But I'm saying everyone was scared. That's not Gohan specifically.
Vegeta was.
Vegeta
Vegeta was
was
scared, wasn't
terrified.
he?
It's fine. Gohan wasn't scared. Gohan fought Frieza. It's fine.
No,
The first time he
hey,
he
you're
fought
not
Frieza.
listening to me. You're not listening
Go
to me.
ahead.
I'm saying that everyone was scared in that particular instance, but Gohan builds up the courage and he fights
Everyone is
Frieza in
scared.
that
It
sequence.
negates the fact that Gohan individually was scared.
I
Fine.
think
But I'm
you
saying,
know what,
okay,
you know what I'm
fine. I
realizing
acknowledge
about
that fear.
you know what
Okay,
I'm realizing
fine. I
about this
acknowledge
entire
that fear. Fine,
conversation.
fine. Wait, let me
What I'm
finish.
realizing about this
Sorry,
entire
let me finish
conversation.
extra. Let me just finish quick. I'm sorry. I'm saying I acknowledge Gohan was scared on Namek, but did Gohan muster the courage to fight Frieza? Yes or no?
Yes, he did.
And did he not do it on multiple occasions?
He fought Frieza twice. Yeah.
Three
No, no,
times
no.
technically.
He recklessly charged at Frieza twice. There's a difference.
But what my
We can't
point
call that
was,
fighting.
but my point was, you're like those Dragon Ball Z fans who get annoyed every single time Gohan gets scared, and you're applying that same logic to Korra.
No, but I'm
Korra's
saying,
innate is she's
but I'm
hard headed.
saying,
So
you're
every
saying
time
that's the
she does
nature
that,
of
are you
Gohan.
gonna like
But I'm saying, if
what?
you're talking about the nature of Gohan, that nature develops. It doesn't
It
stay the
does,
same.
but then
But I'm saying,
it
it's not. He's
also
not
Well,
the same person
it
at the end.
stays with
But
him
this
until
is what
the
I'm
end.
saying, though. But I'm saying, Pilla, this is what I'm saying. You're telling me that Gohan is the same. Like Gohan should have been the same person from Dragon Ball Z Episode 1 to the end of Dragon Ball Z, and he's not.
Okay, but is Korra
Can I ask you
the
guys
same
something?
person
Because
in
I've
book
been
one
trying to
and in
say
book
something.
three?
Okay, now what I'm saying is that there is development there. Fine. All I'm saying though is that yeah, okay. Hold on. Let me finish my point.
okay.
All I'm saying though
Yeah,
is that he had a traumatic experience by not listening. That was bad. She was literally in tears. Do you not mean to tell me that she doesn't want to take any of Tenzin's advice afterwards ever?
what's
So
the
this is a
difference between
character
air and water?
flaw. Eh? How many times can I say it? It's a flaw. You don't just
Fine, let's
overcome
move
your
on. We're
flaw
getting
the
stuck.
next day.
Fine. I'm not asking her to overcome her flaw. I'm asking her to give Tenzin a chance, which she doesn't. Like, it's not like she
It's
learned
the
from Tenzin and then it
flaw.
didn't work.
Okay,
Okay,
so
It's the
now,
flaw.
Okay,
Fine,
what
let's
I
move
just
on.
wanted to say,
On.
what I wanted to
Fine,
say
okay.
about this whole thing
Go
is,
ahead, Mr Extrodin.
when you look at Aang, Aang easily adapts to situations. He I think you could say like he's more of a student than a master, you know, in a sense that he's willing to learn from whether it's a guru that he meets up or whether it's someone that's trying to teach him a new bending technique or whatever. Like he's willing to adapt. I remember when Toph was teaching him how to earthbend, he had to sort of unlearn certain things so that he can be able to earthbend. I don't know if you guys remember that episode. You know, that's the character of Aang. He's adaptable. He's an
Okay,
adaptable
can we talk
character.
about
but
Aang's
it's
flaw,
also
though? Can we talk about a
No,
flaw of Aang?
let me. You guys will chime in. Let me
okay.
finish. That's the character of Aang. That's who Aang is. Not
Yes.
just even in training. Like that's the kind of
Okay.
character Aang is. That's who Aang is as a character.
Okay. Okay.
Korra is a very stubborn individual. I don't care who you bring to teach her whatever or how you think is the best method to teach her. She would try and do things her own way, whether it's season 1 or season 4. It doesn't matter. The essence of who she is as a person, and I don't know if it's that's why I was asking like the difference between air and water. It's as if like these writers said, okay, with water, the waves are always going this direction, right? They're always going this direction. You cannot fight against the tide. You know what I'm saying? No, let me finish.
Water flows into a cup.
Let
It
me
becomes
finish.
the cup.
Let me finish.
Okay.
With the air, the air can go from this direction. Sometimes it's going from that direction. Sometimes it's strong. Sometimes it's not. And I'm talking out of my ass here. Maybe that's not even what they had in mind. But the more we talk, the more I'm starting to. That's why I'm saying that I'm thinking about this from the character perspective. What you
Okay,
expected
but
from
this-
Korra
No,
is
no,
something
then-
you should expect from Aang, and it made sense to expect it from Aang. But don't expect it from Korra, though.
A small question.
But
Small
Mr.
question before.
Extrodin.
Whoa, wait, Mr.
Okay.
Small question. You've given us Aang strengths as a student. What are Korra's strengths? I just need to hear a few.
Brute force.
Brute force?
It's not even a debate. Like you remember? Do you guys remember early Dragon Ball Z?
No, I'm talking about a character trait, not power scaling. I just want to say what were positive character traits from Korra?
What do you mean in terms of what?
You just said Aang is a student, right?
Yes.
That's
Okay,
one of his
yeah.
characters. That's his main character, right?
Right.
And then you're contrasted with Korra being a stubborn person, right?
Mhm.
Which we can't say that is a positive thing. We can say she's strong-willed. That might be we might say that's a positive trait. I'm
Yeah.
just trying to say what are the positive things about Korra as a character? Is she nurturing? Is she loving? Does she have a connection to people that's stronger than that exemplifies her as a character? What is the thing that makes
I think
Korra?
to answer your question,
Mhm.
we would have to. I think I'd have to answer that question after we do the whole books because
Okay.
those questions are answered
Okay.
as we go along.
Okay.
Especially after
Yeah,
she has a connection
and
with.
I'll be fair.
Okay.
There's moments in season 3 where I was just
Yeah.
like, but why isn't this happening all the time? Why
Yeah.
isn't this happening all the time?
Okay.
Like we're in season 3 now, and
So,
she did this. Why don't you do more of this? But anyway, we'll get there. We'll get there. So I'm saying, okay, fine. She's learning from Unalaq more than she's learning from Tenzin, but that reduces Tenzin in my mind. I don't take Tenzin seriously as a teacher because she's learning more from the villain. From
Honest,
what
who
I'm
does?
seeing visually. Now, okay.
Let's be
so,
honest. Who actually takes Tenzin seriously in this show?
you'll be surprised. But anyway, so we go through the story, right? And we get more spiritual stuff and whatever, right? Now we get to the point where apparently we learn that now instead of the avatar being balanced, it just becomes good versus evil.
And that's
That's
my biggest.
literally what happened.
And that's my biggest Western influence issue that I find with the whole Avatar, the whole Korra storyline. It reduced the whole. It went from comic cycle, which was an extreme Western thing, to good versus evil, which is the extreme Western philosophies, in just like that, which kind of made
Like
me
I'm
sad.
saying, when we get to plea and law, it's push and pull,
Good
good
and
and
evil.
evil,
Yin
balance
and
and
yang.
force,
Yeah.
set yin and yang. That's the whole thing. That the avatar's supposed to preserve that cycle. We get to Rava and what was his name?
Vatu.
Vatu. Now it's good and evil. And also it retcons the turtles, because the turtles didn't give people elements to bend. They bend
that's-
energy.
That's another thing that pissed me off. Those lion turtles look hideous. Anyway, let me not just.
No, I actually enjoyed the art style, but I just didn't
No,
like the
I
fact
did
that now
not.
the turtles
If you
get
compare
elements.
my boy here to those lion turtles, they look like this was drawn. This
Okay.
looked like an artist had a budget, and this
Was there a difference?
not what Microsoft paid. Look at them. You look at
They
them. One of
changed
them-
the art style a little bit. Like they kind of do this ancient Chinese thing or whatever. But I'm saying, to me, I did not like that the turtles were bending elements. I thought the original benders were the animals, and that people learn from the animals if they had the ability to bend. Toph learned from the badger moles. The airbenders learned from the air bison. The firebenders learned from the dragons. And
Right.
waterbenders learned from the moon.
not
So it was like all time.
not to nitpick
Oh, sorry,
a little,
yeah.
but I can see where both of these stories can be true because we are talking about a 10,000 year cycle.
Yeah.
One does not exclude the other in terms of where bending origins comes from.
Yeah, but I'm saying that the turtles weren't bending elements. They taught Aang to bend energy. So in my mind, turtle benders aren't like they weren't the elements. That's the thing that I'm saying. The elements were always a part of the world.
I get that. They could have did a little more nuance into that, but well, it's not our story. No matter how angry you get at it, it's not our story. I mean, one of the things we need to learn about stories like these. And yes, I am gonna compare to Game of Thrones. If the more pissed off you get about it, the more you realize that it's not your story to begin with. Yeah.
But also, I think the more we do a lot of these reviews and stuff, I'm beginning to wonder which ideas started getting scrapped by higher ups. Because maybe these writers came up with some of these things that we're talking about.
I'm pretty sure they did.
Yeah, and then the higher ups were like,
But
no.
like, these guys said that these guys said that when they got to write, the only thing that they were given was a constraint of time. And my thing is that they were being too ambitious for the time that they had. If you know you don't have that time, don't introduce too many story elements. Like, for example, if season 2 was just a civil war.
Would they really
okay, but I'm saying, as a writer though, we have constraints, especially if we're writing. Like, constraints is not a new thing. Even if you're working on your own, you still have to constrain yourself, because if you introduce too many elements, you're not going to be able to pull in your audience. So I'm saying that with these guys, if they focused on the Civil War, it would have been one of the best seasons in Avatar, period.
Yeah.
It would have taught Korra so much about restraint. It would have taught Korra so much about negotiation. It would have taught Korra about trusting people for the sake of trusting people, just because they are on your side. And it would have helped develop her familiar relations. Us jumping this spirit train doesn't do anything for her character. And on top of that, if you want to include spirits, have the war be so devastating that it's affecting the spirits, and that's why the spirits are beefing with the humans. So Korra is fighting a three-front war. She's fighting a three-front war. She's fighting between these two tribes, and now she has to deal with spirits. That's amazing. And it would have done so much for her character. But they jump ship. Why?
No, you're right on that one.
All right,
now
let's. Okay.
All right. Anyway, and then we get to giant kaiju fight. Korra loses the avatar state. I hated that so freaking. First off, why is her avatar state so weak?
That's one of my biggest issues with this particular part of the fight. She goes in and out of the avatar state like it's.
You sure you didn't?
I was dying. I was dying. I was like, why are you going out of the avatar state? Stay in it. If you can use it, just use it. Don't turn it off.
Maybe because I was watching, what do you call it? I was comparing it to when Aang went into the avatar state. And yes, I know, you're telling me repeatedly, don't compare the two. But even other avatars like Yang Chen, when they went into the avatar state, biggest vortex, a hurricane, biggest boulders collapsing. And I'm thinking, if you have that much power, your uncle would have been dead 5,000 times over.
The luck was matching her with one element. She had access to 4, and she is the avatar. Why is she going out of it? Why is she not staying in the avatar state? And she has mastery over it at this point. But they decided to nerf it so hard because the way they gave it to her was so easy. No, we're here now. Use it. Why?
Anyway, she doesn't want to be like Aang, so let's give her credence.
Also, she doesn't get the W. Jinora has to step in and help. Let Korra win fights. Amon defeated himself. Jinora had to help her defeat Unvatu.
Unvatu?
That's the man's name. It's a consistent thing in this series that annoys me, and I'm like, stop beating her up. Stop letting her not win the major fight. Let her win. Give her an Ozai. Just an Ozai.
Yeah, I mean, can we get to the point? Especially with the one villain I hate the most of the 4. Surprise, surprise! I don't hate this one. Udvatu's not
He's
my
the
most
worst
hated.
for me.
He's the
Unalaka is
worst
the
villain.
worst for me.
Yeah, it's the worst villain. I know. I have heard your arguments, and I also I've seen the stuff. But my worst villain for me comes much later, and the same things that's like at
I
least
think
scare the person.
I think we're about to be on opposite ends on that point because we get into season 3. Okay, so we covered season 2. Fine, we on season 3 now.
Wait,
This
wait.
is
You
the
want to do
gear.
final thoughts?
Final
Wanna do
thoughts.
Oh, final
on
thoughts.
season
Yeah,
two?
final
Yeah.
thoughts. Sorry, final thoughts on season 2. I'm gonna switch to my phone just now, gents, because my thingy is dying. So just give me a second. But go ahead and do final thought things.
Should I start again, or who started the
Yeah.
last time?
Yes,
Yeah, go
please.
ahead.
Okay, look, I only saw the last fight in the season. I didn't even see how the fight ended. All I just saw, oh, the past lives are gone, and then I thought, okay, I'm not watching this. I'm okay now. So all I just said, boring. That's my feel about this entire that particular arc. It was for me boring, angry, negative avatar, positive avatar. It basically became Western nuance in an Eastern philosophy type of story, which for me defeats the purpose. But anyway, it's like I said, I couldn't care less at that point. I couldn't, because I wasn't attached to Korra and the storyline, the build up and everything. I don't feel the pain that certain characters are feeling with regards to her behavior. So all I can just say is that no, it was boring for me. That's all I can say. What you could have changed, yeah, maybe now that I'm hearing it, a civil war could have been more interesting. Her learning humility perhaps could have been a little more interesting. But those are semantics. Once again, the only thing I appreciate the most is that I learned that this is not my story, so I shouldn't be attached. That's all I can say. So those are my thoughts.
Sorry, viewers, I'm back. Load shedding.
Yes, welcome back. In the last episode
Welcome
of
back.
All right, so
Uh,
sorry. Can you guys please give your also shout out to the most toxic relationship on screen, Eska and Bolin. What the hell was that?
Oh yeah.
don't, but can we appreciate that you got him to wear the most sexiest outfit? I was like, even I never really had I never had a thing for cartoons, but even I was slightly tempted at that point when I saw the cosplays. The cosplays convinced me like, Bolin's kind of hot
No,
now,
I
ain't
was
he?
like, that bruh is screaming for help. Had this been reversed, it would have been the most toxic Me Too thing we've ever seen.
Wait,
True.
is it? Are you saying something, Pilo, or is it my turn?
No, go ahead. I'll go after you.
Um, like I said before, this is for me is the worst season, and you guys are right, as you know that usually it's really hard to follow up from the season before. So I think the quality dropped. I even think they switched animation studios, if I remember correctly. I don't think Studio Med did this one. It's kind of like with One Punch Man season 2. But
I disagree on that. I think the animation's been solid and I think it was the animation wise. I think the show is perfect throughout animation wise.
okay, now for me personally, season 2 the animation quality was not that good. But yeah, I think Bolin's plot for me, his subplot was horrible.
Oh wait, isn't this where we get introduced to Varric also?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
It is. I don't
Your guy,
mind
Julie,
Varric.
do the thing.
I don't mind Varric, but I think it's like you can tell that they didn't know what to do with Bolin. They gave him a girlfriend, they tried to make him a superstar and everything. It just didn't work for me.
But also, like
But
Varric,
also-
I don't understand his purpose though. I don't understand why he was doing villainous things to try and. Oh well, that's season 3. Never mind. Sorry, I'm skipping ahead.
I feel like they also didn't know what to do with Marco apart from just being a supportive boyfriend. You know what I mean? So it's like Team Avatar. The only person that sort of made sense for me was Asami, because it's like she was, trying to make sure that she still keeps the company afloat after what her dad did. It made sense.
Is
But I
it
feel like
also? Oh, sorry.
I feel like the main 4 characters' storylines were not as strong.
No, but they weren't even converging. I don't understand how
Yeah.
Asami's company helped Korra.
It didn't help Korra at all, but it made sense why Varric would be introduced. I think he still could have been introduced, but
Yeah, but
not
I'm saying
have
like,
Bolin do this whole acting thing.
but I'm saying if you're building a team, right? Season one, right? Because they're all on the same mission, we feel like it's a team. These people, they barely feel like co-workers to me.
Mm.
Well, those are your thoughts. Did you want to add anything more, Mr. Extrodin?
Sorry, no, I'm done. I'm so sorry.
I think also the last fight about with them being giants, and I don't know if there was this like a King Kong versus Godzilla reference or whatever.
Go
For me,
go
it was
Power
it
Rangers.
was just horrible, man. Like for me, it just didn't really add much. But I would say that for me, getting to know the first Avatar, I really like that. Like getting to know that
Oh,
and how he like from being someone. It's kind of like it was kind of like an Aladdin type of story because he was like
And
a nobody, you know, who eventually turned into someone big and started learning responsibility. And even though I guess you could say the biggest lesson for him was you will like fighting evil is basically like how can I put it? It's like you're not gonna win at the end of the day because evil will always be there. Because he fought until he died. You know, he fought until he died. He passed out fighting. You know, so for me, it's like that was a great lesson I think Korra also needed to learn. And maybe after learning that, he would, you know, which is something, yes, I know I don't like comparing, but what made Aang great at the end is he didn't kill, you know, Fire Lord Ozai, you know, because he's a pacifist, yes. But for me, I feel like had she learned that thing there at the end, maybe it would have added more weight to the story. But that's just me.
okay. I'm gonna
also,
go after Pillar. I've said a lot, but I'll go after Pillar.
Oh, okay. I guess I'll be much more brief. And this is my least favorite season. I think it's possible. It's not bad. It's not really great, but it's just like average to watch. I think the best moments is the one story. I think it's the only episode or episodes I go back to in the season. But I think it's just, as the kids would say, mid.
Wait,
yeah,
which
Okay,
what are you referring to?
sorry, Pillar. I'm sorry.
The entire
Sorry.
season. Sorry.
No,
No,
you
I'm
said
done.
there's an episode that you like. Which episode is that?
Oh yeah, the one story, the one with the first Avatar.
Oh, I think it's a two-parter, but I hear what you're saying.
Yeah, yeah. I think
yeah,
it's probably two parts. I think
and
that's the only. I really enjoy.
who here is actually surprised that the first Avatar was a firebender? Anyone? Hmm? Hmm? Fire science for life, bitch.
Okay, but anyway, I'm sorry, guys. I forgot to mention this, and this was a big one. Kia and Boomy.
Oh yeah, yeah. Well, I was about to say, isn't this where we realized that Aang was a bullshit father?
Why? Why? Why do that?
Hey, 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 hey.
No.
Story there's a story that we didn't read where the main character after the main character gets whatever he wants, he becomes a horrible father because it's like Boruto. It's this. It's like is
It's
that
Luke Skywalker.
inconsistent.
It's
This
Luke
is this is. I'm
Skywalker.
saying this
It's
is
Goku.
so. Yeah, this is
Goku's
so
okay.
inconsistent. But I'm saying this is inconsistent with his character. Aang constantly gets challenged about his airbending supremacy. You want to talk about flaws? Aang had airbender supremacy as a flaw. He had it constantly, and it constantly had to be beaten out of him. From the show to the comic books, Aang literally had airbender supremacy as a problem until he got over it and founded the Air Acolytes. In other words, the people who aren't airbenders but love airbender culture. That's the brainchild of Aang. Why
Yes.
would he not? And also, remember, as a kid, he took Katara and Sokka, a waterbender and a non-air and a non-bender, just like his kids. Boomy, non-bender. Kia, waterbender. He took them to all the spots that he used to go to. He took them to the koi fish. He took them to the thing, to the desert place. He took them to go see the other temples and the air bison and all of. He took them to these places. Why would he not do that for his children?
Hey, my man, that's a rhetorical question. We can't answer you.
Yeah, preaching to the choir here. So like,
Yeah.
I can't.
Like,
We'll need to have a hardcore Korra apologist to come in and then have a lovely debate.
No,
Or
this is not a
or-
Korra issue. This is an Aang issue.
Yeah, no.
Because
No,
the creator of the show.
it's an
I'm
issue
talking
that it's an issue that the show Korra
I'm
introduced
talking about.
and did
Yeah,
not develop.
I'm sorry. I want
The
you to say
creator
Korra
of the show created Avatar as well. And I'm just saying, he wanted to make Avatar a bad dad, and he made him a bad dad. It's not my
But
issue.
with
It's not
no
my.
reasoning behind it.
At this
You
rate,
just messed with the character I liked. Now it
this
makes me
rate-
harder to like this new show.
At this rate, Ichigo is going to be a terrible father. Sasuke is
No,
already
I'm
a bullshit
saying
dad,
it,
so
like
that
this whole
triangle.
thing of making people bad fathers, like part of the reason that ruins Boruto, right? Sasuke is not training Sarada. That is counterproductive to him as a character because
And
he's
she has
literally the only Uchiha that was born after the massacre.
And she had the Sharingan. Guys, wake up! But anyway, let's.
I don't even know why you guys.
Boruto having issues with his father when his father has shadow clones and literally has the best jutsu to run the village and he can't use it.
Okay, sorry to tangent. Quick question. Do you think Sasuke found that huge laboratory where Obito was with all those eyes, all those Uchiha eyes and stuff, and he's got like a lifetime supply of of Sharingan eyes that he can.
Well,
he
if
can
he
use.
did, I don't know why he didn't replace the eye that he lost to a kunai.
So there's no Izanami. Okay. Okay, let's get back to the
I'm
original
saying
story.
when you do things counterproductive to a character, it doesn't make the story deeper. It just makes the story foolish.
I
'Cause, like,
agree.
also,
And I mean,
this-
if you look
like-
at
Yeah,
if
sorry,
you
go
look
ahead.
look at one of the best written stories ever, Lord of the Rings. If you look at what happens in the first age, the second age, and the third age, there's a the chronological order of things is written in such excruciating detail that it respects each character. We see. One day we'll do a show about Rings of Power and how much I hate it with such a vociferous hatred.
Okay, that'll be his rant episode.
That will most probably be my rant episode. But I know I'm also talking to a room of people that don't really care about Lord of the Rings as much as
I'll watch Lord of the Rings again if we're gonna talk about it. I'll watch all three. I'll watch all three movies. Anyway, getting back to this, right?
Yeah.
Getting back to this, right? And I'm also saying it doesn't just stop with Aang. It also affects Katara.
Yeah,
Katara has been emotionally intelligent since she was a child. Sokka literally said that this is the girl that replaced her mother in his mind. That's how motherly she has been.
Which reminds
How
me
would
of the
she
next
not
question.
recognize that pattern? And you can't tell me about duty because she cried at her father about her father doing his duty. She understood it, but she still felt the way she felt about it. How would she pass that on to her children?
No, you know what my big gripe with Avatar, with Katara as a character is like, how the hell she spared the man who killed her mother? It's a mystery I'll never understand.
No, I get that. Because the thing is, Katara's not a murderer. She doesn't have that in her. That's not who she is. That's not how she was raised. Because she is such a compassionate person.
Zico
She's
just
such a compassionate person.
realize that it's about her getting closure, but not necessarily like killing the guy. Just sort of confronting the guy, but not killing him.
Fair enough.
Yeah, but I'm saying, like, if we get to Katara, I'm saying she's such a compassionate and emotionally intelligent person that she would have picked up that her kids are feeling neglect and she would have spoken to Aang about it. This whole plot line, it just feels like they needed to sully Aang a little bit. They just
a little
needed
bit
to
more.
taint Aang.
A little bit more.
Yeah,
a little bit more, because there's by no means I can say we can argue that Aang is a perfect character. There is no way that too many
he's not.
Stupid things that he's done.
No, he's not. Aang literally had trust issues. Aang literally hid the map from Sokka and Katara because he was scared they were going to abandon him. He lied to the mountain people about the story. and all of that stuff.
Are we
And
forgetting
he
that
like,
he's basically directly responsible for the entire death of his culture?
no, I mean, okay, that is a rough one. Fine, that's a rough one. But I'm saying they weren't. I'm saying, but I'm talking about after that stuff. I'm talking about the flaws that Aang shows that's not tied to his culture getting wiped out.
He's
lit-
all those examples. Okay, we are talking about Egg now, but sorry,
Yeah,
guys.
I'm just saying. Also, just a big one. Aang also has a contradiction in philosophy on many fronts. The airbending supremacy is one because they're supposed to say all life is sacred, but when he finds people at the air temple, he was upset. When he found the air acolytes, he literally was like, "My culture is not your dress to wear." He literally did that. And also, at some point, he was talking about he loves being an airbender so much that he forgot he was in love with the waterbender. And Katara had to remind him that if you want to go back to the four separate nations, it might not be that you and me can be together anymore. And also,
I think
his stubbornness.
The more I'm realizing that the characters that we are talking about now, it's not that they're inconsistent. It's just that they lack experience with certain relationships. Let me explain. It might not be right. My logic might not be right, but
I agree emphatically with what you're saying.
Because Naruto was an orphan, right? Naruto's an orphan, so he will struggle being a dad, no matter how many father figures he has.
He'll be there. He'll be there.
Just hear me out. Like even with Aang, for the most part, he was alone. Yes, there were kids. You know what I'm saying? There were kids. You know, it's not like General Iroh was there for him, just like General Iroh was there for Zuko. It's a completely different situation. So
and how did that
he doesn't
also
have
end
experience
up
becoming being a father.
Okay, but
That's
here's the thing that I'm confused
Number
on.
two,
Here's the
he
thing
has
that
a
I'm
child.
confused on.
That's an airbender.
Let him finish, buddy.
He was the last airbender. He was the last airbender. So he has a child that is actually an airbender, not an air acolyte, an actual airbender. You know what I'm saying? Obviously, he'll have more affection to this kid as opposed to all the other benders that he's already used to. So obviously, he would wanna make sure that he teaches this kid. He spends more time with this kid, teaches this kid everything that he was taught when he was a kid. So obviously, even though he doesn't want to show favoritism, or maybe that was never his intention, but it makes sense for him to choose to be with Tenzin more than the other.
Okay, but what does riding the koi have to do with airbending?
Look, that stuff I can't even make cases for.
What does the family trips have to do with airbending? They didn't have to go to the air temple.
They
didn't have to go to the air temple.
Like I said, my rationale is based on character, history, background, personality.
But if we're talking about his history, Aang has always been inclusive. If he had to do a separation, he would have taken Tia and Bumi to the koi fish
and taken Tenzin to the temple. What do you think would have happened to Aang if he had met another airbender? We don't know, dog.
No, we can say that, but I'm saying, why wouldn't he take them to the koi fish? That's the thing that I'm saying here.
But that's
the stuff he was doing with Tenzin.
I don't know.
But I'm saying the stuff he's doing with Tenzin, what does that have to do with airbending? How is it that they cannot just all go as a family like they did Appa, Yip Yip, and then he says, okay, I'm taking Tenzin to the temple to train? In fact, I think if you wanted to say it was more interesting, quote unquote, I would have had Tenzin low-key resent Aang for forcing him to be an airbender when the other kids were having fun, if that's what we want to do here.
Okay. Those are fair arguments, and we are still talking about season 2. We've got 2 more seasons.
Oh my god, okay.
2 more seasons to tear apart.